It is a beautiful day in Athens, Georgia, and it's a memorable day for some 30 seniors in red today for the Georgia Bulldogs, remembering an unbelievable career and what has a chance to be a historical season in Athens, Georgia, trying to make it 11-0, taking on Charleston Southern. Jordan Davis, one of the many seniors enjoying life here today, and a chance to be an All-American among many other awards that Jordan Davis is going to win this season. Already it's been memorable, 8-0. That's the 8th undefeated conference season, the first since 1982. Another divisional crown that has become commonplace under Kirby Smart, and a defense that is going to be historic when it is all said and done. And with that, we say hello and welcome everybody between the hedges. He is Charles Arbuckle. I am Mike Morgan. It is great to be with you, Charles. There's so much to brag about with this Georgia squad. We can talk about the offense for 20 minutes, but we got to focus on the calling card this year for Georgia, and that is a defense that has been historically good.
Mike, when you look at this defense, the first thing you see on tape is guys flying to the football, guys wanting to play hard and fast and furious. It shows up. There's a certain love you have to commit yourself to brothers. Kirby knows that from playing defense and coaching it all his years, but this defense is special. They
are flat out nasty on every level, and they have been dominating people really from start to finish. They'll try to do the same against a Charleston Southern squad from the Big South Conference, led by a man you might be familiar with, the name Autry Denson. He's the all-time leading rusher in the history of Notre Dame football. He's in his 3rd year with the program, and obviously they are behind the 8 ball against the #1 team in the country, and they've been that way for over a month now, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, we had a good conversation with Autry Denson, and just having a chance to talk to him, Mike, and really finding out more about him and what he's doing and what he was building.
The Buccaneers won the toss, deferred, so it'll be Georgia getting the football first. Kearis Jackson back deep, number 10 in red, to receive the kickoff. Crowd continues to file in. Temperature started off in the 40s today. We expect a high of 60 degrees. Mike Morgan, Charles Arbuckle, and we'll hear shortly from Tiffany Blackman patrolling the sidelines here at Sanford Stadium. The boot toward the far sideline and almost out of bounds. In fact, it'll be marked at the 17-yard line as McIntosh steps out of bounds, and we say hello for the first time today to Tiffany Blackman.
Hey guys, when I spoke with UGA quarterback Stetson Bennett, he told me the thing he hated most about last year was that they didn't get a senior day because of COVID. Well, he got that chance today. And as for whether or not he'll decide to return next year, he said he did have those conversations with Coach Kirby Smart this week, but that he's not worried about that right now. He said that senior day is an opportunity to be out here with your family, friends, and hopefully they go out the way they should.
Stetson Bennett, who grew up a Georgia fan and continues to enjoy a Georgia season, and so too does Zamir White, racing down the sideline, barging into plus territory, and down to the 43-yard line of the Buccaneers. Pagano on the stop after a gain of 48.
Tight end coming down, turning, and then you can see the outside guys pulling. Hey, and Brock Bowers out front. Zamir White doesn't need a whole lot of help, but when he gets it, he can get down the field fast. 2 ACL injuries, but still no effect from those.
White, the lone back on first down. Bennett will swing it to him near side. An ankle tackle at the 43 after a pickup of a couple.
Yeah, Bennett is just one of those guys. You talk about improving over the course of last year to this year, Mike. Todd Monken, who we've seen in a lot of different places, right, talks about how this young man has just improved. You know, undersized, a lot of people look at him as, yeah, can he make plays? He gets in there, he just commands a certain respect from this team.
And he's #1 in the SEC in yards per attempt. I think that's a number that would sneak up on people, and his running ability definitely has snuck up on people this year. Big hole between the tackles, first down yardage for James Cook, part of that dynamic duo in the backfield of White and Cook.
Yeah, they come off the ball really well, get guys locked up. And James Cook, if you remember the name Dalvin Cook, was not that long ago. Flashes of Dalvin, having covered him in college, very similar. Had his big game last week against Tennessee.
Yeah, he caught a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown. I just called his brother's game last week with the Vikings against Charger. Dalvin Cook, of course, a Pro Bowler, and James Cook well on his way to the NFL next year. On 1st and 10 from the 32. Bennett all kinds of time, pats and fires, but picked off at the 20-yard line. A rare turnover picked off by Garrett Say, the senior linebacker out of Simpsonville, South Carolina, and a return of 11.
Garrett Say has played really well. He plays hard, and I think the biggest thing is Stetson Bennett, this ball is going to get tipped. Play action pass, they're looking to actually, right there, 91, Tylen Chambers. Big Tylen Chambers gets that hand up and knocks that ball down. Had a clear view, would have completed it. Watch 91, he's going to raise that big hand up, get that paw just enough. Defensive linemen are taught, if you can't get there, get that hand up. Garrett Say with a huge play right there with the interception.
A rare pick thrown by Bennett, and a nice break for Charleston Southern. First down from their own 32-yard line. Oscar the lone back. Chambers out of the shotgun, missiles one near side, and that'll be incomplete. So Jack Chambers, a fifth-year senior, and no doubt he'll have a lot of family in the stadium today. He's at a Parkview High School in Lilburn, Georgia. A really good baseball player, and that arm shows up.
Yeah, we talked to him about that this week, the ability to throw from different angles, and you see it. Ball jumps out of his hands, and he's also really good on the move throwing the football.
Very slippery at 5'10", 180 pounds. They'll spread it out on second down, rolling out right, throws that one at the feet of the intended target, Garris Schwarting.
You know, Mike, sometimes though when you're starting a game and you've been playing FCS competition and you step up a level, you may be trying to throw it too hard or do a few too many things. We'll talk about it through the course of the game. I can remember my first college game against Oklahoma when they had about 3 or 4 first-rounders, Bosworth and Ricky Dixon, and the level of intensity in that game from high school was totally different.
They've played one FBS school this year. They played East Carolina, a little bit different here between the hedges against the #1 team in America. Georgia on the blitz, picked up well, throw far side and almost picked off. Schwarting was the intended target, but he was bracketed by Latavius Brini.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. These throws that he can get away with here. He's going to throw from one hash to the other. Got to get that ball out quick. Brini is almost there. He ran the route for him. Luckily, it was a little bit too high. But these are the things you're going to have to get accustomed to if you're Jack Chambers and the rest of his ball club. You can't make that same mistake because that could have been the other way for 6.
Braddock on to punt. Garris Jackson on to receive. Good looking punt. Jackson retreats all the way back to the inside his own 10-yard line. And will plow ahead to about the 28, where Georgia will take over. Bulldogs' second possession coming up. No score from Athens. There's a look at Autry Denson in his 3rd year as the head coach of Charleston Southern. What do we know about the Buccaneers? Where they're in the Big South. They made it to back-to-back playoffs in 2015 and 2016. That was under Jamie Chadwell, now the head coach of Coastal Carolina. 25th meeting with an FBS opponent, 0-24. They did play ECU to a field goal earlier this year. And, of course, these two teams met 7 years ago. That was a rout for Georgia. Bulldogs have been routing just about everybody this year. Second drive for Stetson Bennett and company from the 27-yard line. Cook the lone back. They'll feed him. Cuts back inside and a gaping hole up the middle. Weaving his way past midfield. Now past the 40 and down to the 33-yard line before Matthew Williams stops him. But not after a huge gain for James Cook, the senior from Miami.
Yeah, James can run the football effectively, and here's why. When you have linemen stopping, knocking people off the ball, this is what you have. Cook can really move effectively. Not only is he a good runner, he's a good receiver as well.
40-yard gain. On first down. Bennett, play action, surveys, looking deep over the middle, and almost a one-handed grab by the sensational tight end, Brock Bowers, who leads the SEC in touchdown receptions for a tight end. Tiffany, what do you have?
Hey guys, when I spoke with Stetson Bennett, he told me that both of his running backs, Zamir White and James Cook, they complement each other so well. And what we saw on that last run by Cook is exactly what Stetson told me. He's more of a slasher, and he can make guys miss.
He's been making people miss all year long. What a dynamic duo, White and Cook. 2 carries, 51 yards for Cook. Gets the ball here, but actually dropped for a loss. Jerome Rice leading the charge along with Anton Williams for Charleston Southern.
Looks like Justin McIntyre might have been in there first to slow him down, and then all those guys converge. Georgia's been doing this, Mike, and I said they're going to have to do something different, Charleston Southern. That time they came in with some run blitz pressure and was able to stop them as they're pulling guard and center are moving over, and that was a very good play for that defense for Charleston Southern.
A 3rd down and 12. They need the 23-yard line. Split twins for Stetson Bennett, senior out of Blackshear. With time, Patson fires, complete. Near the 20. Little juke, and finally wrestled down is Jermaine Burton, the sophomore out of Calabasas, California. 14 yards and moved the chains.
Yeah, got a couple of California kids in this offense. You know, Brock Bowers from Napa, and you know, this is a national recruiting team. They do that. They get the Georgia kids. They get kids all out of the Southeast. But they've got some really key guys that are making plays for them outside of the footprint of Georgia.
On the 21-yard line. Stetson Bennett began as the number 3 quarterback, has become the guy as 2nd, 3rd, and 4th effort. That time by Kenny McIntosh. Don't want to lose sight of him. He's the junior out of Fort Lauderdale, and another great weapon in that Georgia backfield. Totes the rock for 13.
Yeah, you got the tight end off the ball, Brock Bowers, and then that left side of the line, right side of the line, excuse me, just really mashing people and running things down. Good run and finish.
Injured man on the field, still scoreless from Athens here in the 1st quarter. Now the injured player was Ombre Kennedy. Looked like a lower leg injury. They're carting him off the field. So tough news for the Buccaneers. Georgia Bulldogs on the move on their 2nd drive of the ball game after an interception on drive number 1. Of course, Georgia number 1 in the country, expected to stay that way when the college football playoff top 25 is announced on Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. The latest updated rankings going back to this past week. Really not a lot of surprises, Charles. We're getting to the point where we expect Georgia and Bama top 2, and then it's just a matter, where do you shuffle 3 through 5?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to depend on what happens with these teams as they get late in the year and how that shakes out, and the eventual, what we think is going to happen between Georgia and Alabama.
It certainly seemed to be on a collision course. Bennett, handoff, breaking tackles, diving at the 2-yard line. That's Samir White, brought down by Garrett Say, who had the interception earlier.
Yeah, you talk about an offense designed to rush the football, 101 yards already, and this defense has to get off its mark. You can't stay stationary against this big front because you're not big enough up front and rugged enough to handle it. But what you have to do also is not get outside of kilter of what you're accustomed to doing.
They go empty in the backfield. We got a big man back there. That Circle gets it, dives for the end zone, and they stuff the big man short of the goal line. Jared Circle, I beg your pardon, that's Jordan Davis. Davis at 6'6", 340. They tried to get a big man a score on senior day.
Give the dog a bone. Give the big man his due. Jordan couldn't quite get over, but I think he may get one more shot at it on senior day.
The modern day refrigerator. Now he's lined up out wide to the bottom of your screen. Again, Davis. This time he's in for the touchdown. How about that? There's not much Jordan Davis hasn't done in his career at Georgia. Why not get the big man in the end zone?
I'm never going to be adverse to giving the big man a touchdown. Big man touchdown, you got to love it. Way to go in there and make it happen. And that offensive line loves it as much. As much as they block him and know how tough he is to defend against, they say, hey, big man, get in the zone. Big man, get over with the left hand. Touchdown, I love it.
Bedelsny on for the extra point. But Lesney knocks it through, the junior out of St. Simon's Island.
teammates coming to celebrate with you, wanting to be a part of it. And Mike, you know, when we talked to this coaching staff, remember when he came in, he was a 3-star guy, wasn't a guy that so much was going to be this hot shot prospect when he got here. I saw him in Charlotte, living in the Charlotte area, and I remember him being big. Some teams wanted to recruit him as an offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman, a lot of teams thought he was too heavy, and we had a great talk with Jordan yesterday. What a terrific young man. Jordan Davis is a guy that, as you mentioned, not highly recruited. And when he came to camp, when you're overweight, sometimes even your own teammates can be a little bit cruel.
Hey, man.
They put him through it, you know.
They will. Hey, and, you know, he was homesick, a mama's boy, which I'm okay with because I am that way as well. But they toughened him up. And, Mike, the thing I love about it, you hear stories about this going the other way. There was enough tough love, but also understanding what he could take. And I think Kirby mentioned that as well, understanding to get him to see his best potential, and you're starting to see that now.
What a terrific story he has been. A lot of people thought he would leave after his junior year, decided to come back and has only enhanced his stock. Talked about the fact there was still some unfinished business. I think that's the mantra for a lot of these Georgia players. Finally want to put an end to that national championship drought, as we say hello once again to Tiffany.
Mike, you mentioned that Jordan Davis could have left. Well, I'm seeing up close the reason why he stayed. Everyone coming up to congratulate him on that touchdown, including quarterback Stetson Bennett. You know, Davis told me we had something special on the field, just the connection, and he wasn't ready to let that go.
I'll tell you the other thing that Jordan told us. He's a pretty simple guy. He likes to hang out with his dog Izzy. That's like a son to him. He's very close to his dog. And when he's not playing football and working out, he's making music.
I like it.
So he's trying to dabble in a little bit of a musical career on the side as well. Great moment for that young man. Great drive for Georgia. Now the defense goes to work. Good job breaking one tackle, but nowhere to hide for Jack Chambers. He'll go down. Another sack for this incredible Georgia defense, a loss of 9. 41, Channing Tindall, one of those talented seniors out of Columbia, South Carolina.
Mike, when they come with pressure or they come with late delayed blitzes, they do it so tightly. We'll see it today. 3 down linemen, but you have a spinner or one linebacker that can come as well, and they do such a great job with it.
On 2nd and 18, Chambers rolling out, just running for his life and throwing it away. Now a late flag thrown by the back judge all the way at midfield.
Devontae Wyatt, who we don't talk enough about, but we talk about Trey Scott recruiting. The defensive line coach had Devontae come back and Jordan Davis, 2 key people on that defensive front.
Holding on the defense, number 36. 10-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Latavius Brini, the senior safety out of Miami Gardens, Florida.
They're aggressive in that secondary, and they'll get some holding penalties. They'll get some things that'll happen. But, you know, you talk about this front, man. Dan Lanning, who spent some time with Todd Graham, also at Alabama, has been with Kirby, has just really got an understanding of how to make plays, and he's got a co-defensive coordinator in Glenn Schumann as well.
On first down, back to the ground game between the tackles. It's Oscar burrowing his way for a couple. Devontae Wyatt, another one of those star defensive linemen who decided to come back for his senior year on the tackle.
Yeah, I don't think this defense gets enough credit for how good it is besides Jordan Davis, but Devontae Wyatt always shows up on film making plays. 8.5 sacks on the year from an interior position is not easy from a college football or pro football perspective.
On 2nd and 6, Chambers again running for his life. Throws it out of bounds. Get the feeling we're going to see a lot of that. Jack Chambers just trying to escape the pocket and make plays. Nakobe Dean was breathing down his neck.
Yeah, you're going to see 17 Dean come off the edge. Like I said, those 3 down linemen, and then they're going to come from somewhere, either outside or inside. He's able to escape, but then you have Trayvon Walker at 6'5", 275 chasing you down. That 3-headed combination of linebackers, Mike, makes it tough for a quarterback, man. They come after you.
Certainly does. Dean, 4.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss this year, and now Georgia gets to pin their ears back on 3rd and 6. A rush just 3, and the pass is complete right near the sticks at about the 36.5. It'll depend on the spot. Jordan on the reception.
Yeah, you need to make something positive happen. You had that first down given to you by a penalty, and now you get another first down. And now if you're Charleston Southern, you better go fast. Don't let this defense settle.
Lofting one up in the air, almost a perfect throw, but knocked away last second by Ringo. Intended for Demetrius Jones. Good coverage by Keely Ringo, the freshman from Tacoma, Washington. You were talking about players from all over the map. How about Tacoma, Washington?
Up in the SeaTac area. Look at that last second. Get that hand up. Doesn't hold on, but he does a nice job. Some people say, well, turn around. But if you can raise that hand, he did that right hand and knocked the ball out. Good play by him.
Split twins for the Buccaneers on second down. Toss far side, in and out of the hands of Schwarting.
See, those are the things. Schwarting is a sure-handed guy, right? 4 touchdowns against the Citadel, former walk-on. But sometimes when you play in these games, you want to do too much. Just do the things you normally do. That gives you a much shorter third down situation. Now you're having to go against a Bulldog defense that's going to pin his ears back. And Jack Chambers says, okay, let me get ready. Let me find a way to make a big play against this defense.
One thing about Georgia defensively, because they get so much pressure from the front, they don't have to blitz a lot, and they still cause havoc. On 3rd and 10, they will blitz here. Chambers in trouble. Chambers goes down. Big time loss on the play. Tyndall was there on the sack. He had some help from his partners, including Robert Beal, the senior, a loss of 12.
Yeah, when you have 3rd and long, you know your offensive line has not that much time. And against this Georgia Bulldog defense, you can see those outside edge guys get their home. They get home. You've got to make sure that when Beal and Tyndall are coming after you, you got to hold up. And Chambers had no time on that play.
Jackson back to receive another punt. This one's not going to be returnable. A shank job right out of bounds, far side. It'll be good field position for the Dogs when we come back.
Welcome back. UGA leading Charleston Southern 7-0, and I'm standing here with Brave skipper Brian Snicker, and you told me you waited 45 years to be a world champion, so you didn't mind waiting for the interview. What does it feel like to have won a World Series?
It's awesome. I mean, it surpasses everything that I thought it would be. I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where I was always the guy sitting on the couch watching everybody else do that and wondered what it would feel like. And you know, so it's great. I enjoyed every second of it, and I'm just so proud of our players and organization, our coaches, everybody, that it takes a huge village to pull off something like this, and I'm proud of Braves country.
And I'm sure Georgia's happy to have you here today.
It's awesome being here because I know all the Bulldog fans are Braves fans and they make up the Braves country, so I'm honored to be here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All righty,
again.
thank you.
Guys.
Tiffany, great stuff. I got to tell you, Brian Snicker is a guy I got to know personally, Charles, during my time with the Braves, both when he was on the staff with Atlanta and then the manager with Gwinnett. You want to talk about a guy paying his dues to get that job, earn a World Series. I know you're an Astros guy.
Well, Ron Washington, I'm also happy for.
Okay, happy for Ron Washington.
And I was at the game where they were down 4-0. I've never heard a home run as loud as the one that was hit. It was silent, and then boom, Freddie Freeman comes up, and that was just a great game. But I have to give it to the Braves. They played great. They got hot at the right time, and the pitching was so good.
And how about Brian Snicker showing some Georgia love? I believe he was at the Georgia basketball game last night, Georgia football game today. He's going to have to start paying taxes here in Athens.
Nothing like this college atmosphere, whether it's basketball, football. I mean, we go to campuses almost every week, and it's just – There's something infectious about it, right?
It's hard to top what they got going on here at Sanford Stadium. Bowers on the last catch. And there's a drop jarred loose from Jermaine Burton on the hit.
I love how they use Bowers in so many different places, and they talk about him being one of the faster guys on the team with his ability with the GPS system, right? He can really move, and when I watch him on tape, it's even better when you see him live. You know, when you get a chance to see folks in person, you can understand why they're so high on this young man and what he can do both attached or right now he's in that bunch, as you can see on the hash at the top of your screen.
They're going to go for it on 4th and 5. McIntosh, the lone back. Bennett looks that way. A little toss to McIntosh to the 35, the 30. First down yardage down the sideline. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Kenny McIntosh. The junior from Fort Lauderdale finds pay dirt, and Georgia leads it 13-0.
Great blocking out front. You have to have that. Darnell Washington, Brock Bowers. That's why they line up right here. Watch 0, watch 19, watch 81. All of them showing up. And that's what you do. When you have a big play by a back, it's not because of his ability always. It's what you do with those guys that will block for you. Great job of getting that ball out quickly by Stetson Bennett and McIntosh getting it to the house. And all those tight ends, I got to give them some love. There was a receiver in there. I'm going to give them a look. But the 2 tight ends, Bowers and Washington, with some key blocks on that play.
But Lesney knocks the extra point home, 14-0 Georgia. You talk about those tight ends. You know, last week in the victory against Tennessee, Washington and Bowers combined for just 3 catches in the entire game. And really, that's un-Georgia-like. When Georgia's really humming on offense, normally those 2 guys will combine for at least half dozen.
They've had so many situations where they haven't had to use the passing game. If you look at on the season, they're averaging about 17 attempts, 16 or 17 attempts. So there's not enough passes that go around, but the big plays that come off of that. Washington, 7 catches. You see Bowers with 30, now 31. We saw one earlier. And I think Kirby even said, hey, I'd love to get the guy the ball more. You know, whenever I get on these calls with coaches, the first thing I'm going to go to is a tight end. And I laugh about it because the receivers always used to chirp, hey, I'm going to be open. I was always the last one walking with the quarterback as he's going to the line saying, yeah, I got you, dog. I have you under control. So the receivers out there talking that trash, but we'll make a big play for you. He even said, yeah, you're a bigger target. They get comfortable with you. And you can see that in this offense and most offenses now when they have a very highly productive tight end.
Kirby Smart told us Brock Bowers, he knew he'd be special the moment he saw him in the spring. Hawkins on the return, smothered in a sea of red around the 13-yard line. So that's where the Buccaneers will set up shop, trailing 14-0. First touchdown of the game coming by one Jordan Davis. And a little fridge type package for Georgia, having some fun here today on Senior Day, trying to improve to 11-0. Then you've got Georgia Tech next week. They'll be heavy favorites in that ball game. And again, assuming Alabama takes care of business today against Arkansas, they're heavy favorites in that one. We could be looking at another epic Georgia-Alabama postseason matchup. They've all been great.
Yeah, I mean, so much riding on that. You know, this week is one of those weeks where if you're Georgia, you still want to play at your highest level, but you know there's other things out there for you.
A juggle, a catch, and then a wallop. Jarrell Smith reeled it in, and he got absolutely lit up the moment that he brought it. Dan Jackson the stop after a loss of 2.
Yeah, that free safety position. You're going to see some different guys rotating in, and Dan Jackson, one of them, has 29 tackles on the season, but he came up. And I talk about this. They bring hat. They don't come lightly. They don't come and thud you up or tap you. They come and bring the ferocity.
Chambers, Coxon fires, complete at the 15, and again jarred loose. Another big-time hit causes an incompletion. Jordan could not hold on. Darian Kendrick on the stick.
Yeah, these guys will hug up on you, Mike. They'll play close to you, and this is their best cover guy. Usually their best cover guy on defense is not the best hitter, right? Darian Kendrick, he's always in the mix, and then a sure tackle and making sure. I love watching good defensive play when guys will come and hit you because as an offensive player, you know you're going to get smashed. You better hold on to it because they're going to bring it every single time.
Kendrick, the former Clemson Tiger, one of the seniors honored today. Flushed out, Chambers unloads it high and way over the head of Demetrius Jones. Lassiter was in coverage, making Ringo in coverage for Georgia, number 5.
Yeah, every now and then it'll get away from him. Right there, Chambers trying to get that ball out, just had too much on it. But this Georgia defense tends to make your clock work a little bit faster. You know, you want to stay calm, but they put the pressure on you.
Erickson back to receive the punt. A high wobbler, reeled in at the 39-yard line. Crosses toward the middle, now will run up the alley along the numbers down to the 40-yard line. If you're just joining us, Georgia's run game once again has been the story.
Yeah, when you have a great bevy of backs, you also have the offensive line that blocks for you well, those tight ends included, wide receivers, but there's holes to run through. Cook is going, and then, but hey, we got running backs, right? But we got big men who come in. And when he came out today, the fans were going crazy, so give him a bone. Big man touchdown by Jordan Davis.
I see what you did there. Give him a bone. Dogs. Yes. I like it. From plus territory at the 40-yard line. Now it's Zamir White in the backfield. We've seen White, we've seen Cook, we've seen McIntosh. And it will be number 3, Zamir White. Gets outside, turns on the Jets, and a touchdown for the junior out of North Carolina. His 10th rushing touchdown of the year.
Watch Warren McClendon here, Mike. Woo! 70. He's coming across, and watch 70 right here. And Zamir White said, I'm holding on to you, big man. When you hit him, I'm gone. There's no one there. I got to give Warren Erickson and Warren McClendon credit for what they were able to do there. Pulling, blocking, and then it's all Zamir White's speed after that.
The coaching staff told us Warren McClendon's really been the anchor of that offensive line all year long, and you saw it right there. White now 4 carries, 83 yards, a touchdown, and Georgia 21. Buccaneers nothing here in the first quarter.
They've had some injuries on that offensive line, but they've been able to plug guys in, and you know, they've only allowed 7 sacks. And when you talk to Todd Monken, he was saying they could play better, which any group can. But they're on the Joe Moore Award midseason honor roll because of their ability to block and play. And then you've got all these guys that are going to get postseason awards. But Zamir White, just explosive. He and James Cook really make a nice combination, and then throw Kenny McIntosh. Kendall Milton is out right now out of Fresno, California. So he may play, possibly out, we're not sure, but they've already shown 3 guys that can just really hurt you.
One of the things too I thought was interesting, Todd Monken was talking about with the backs, White, Cook, so because they're such good blockers in the passing game, you can leave them on the field at any time. They're good on any down, any situation. Very valuable part, especially if you're going to play at the next level.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to have against teams that are going to challenge you. And, you know, Charleston Southern's going to do everything they can today. But quite frankly, we know this Georgia team has better athletes, better skill guys. But that's the one area you have to be able to make sure you play well each and every week.
Wise decision, take the fair catch. Charleston Southern will finally have a little breathing room on this drive, which will start at the 25-yard line. Again, for Charleston Southern, give them credit. Scheduling this game. This is obviously the most difficult opponent. It's been the most difficult opponent for anybody in college football this year. We're talking about the #1 team in America. They have made some noise in the Big South. I mentioned the back-to-back playoff appearances in 2015, 2016, led by a terrific athletic director, Jeff Barber. In fact, it was Jeff Barber whose time at South Carolina when Lou Holtz was the head coach. That's the connection with Autry Denson. Jeff Barber talked to Lou Holtz, said, I'm looking for a coach. What do you think? Lou said, I got this guy, Autry Denson. He was great as a player at Notre Dame. He'll be a great coach for you. And the rest, as they say, is history.
He said Urban Meyer just chased him down, just kept telling him, you know, when he was at Notre Dame, Urban Meyer identified that he was going to be a great coach. He said, I worked with Coach Tony Dungy. He had a lot of good influences. He said, but Urban was tenacious about staying on him about coaching.
On 2nd and long, Chambers rolls out left and then throws that one wide of the mark. And you have to wonder for Jack Chambers.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pressured heavily on every play. Your throws are going to be a little bit off today.
Well, we talked about them getting outside and trying to run away from the big guys up front, but Georgia's defense, what they'll do is just say, okay, our linebackers will get after you, or our defensive backs will as well. You know, Autry's, you know, he talked about that. Coach Denson said, hey, look, we know what we're in against. We're just going to go in and battle. So we're building a ministry, and we really want these kids to think along those lines. And great story about how he got to the situation or the place of wanting to coach.
On 3rd and 9, Georgia with pressure, throw underneath, and a penalty flag falls. Catch was made at the 33-yard line. That would be shy of the marker. Walker on the stop for Georgia.
Yeah, it looks like it might be in the area of holding. Said his family, he was at Merrill Lynch and decided to take a step away, but he had talked to his wife, and they made a family decision to get into coaching. His wife, she's probably the best person there, because he said, if Elaine didn't say yes, I wasn't going to do it, and the rest is kind of history.
Personal foul, tripping on the offense, number 75. Half the distance, will replay, 3rd down.
It's on the left guard, Lee Matthews.
Yeah, if you can't get them with your hands, I guess you got to use any part of your body. You definitely can't do that to left guard. You're going to watch him. Usually when you cut, you're able to cut a person or if they run over you. But Trayvon Walker is so long, and he's able to get away from it and still not get tripped by Lee Matthews trying to get him cut block, so to speak, and I'm going to stick my legs out there. I got to. This guy's just too athletic to get away from it.
First penalty on the Buccaneers, who have amassed minus 11 total yards up to this point, and a familiar scenario here, 3rd and long, 3rd and 22. Chambers in a 4-wide set. Steps up, now going to tuck it and run, and falls down at the 14-yard line. Quay Walker providing plenty of pressure.
Yeah. The thing you think about having an opportunity to get by people, but once you get in the open space, Mike, it's hard. You don't have any way to get away, and I think Jack Chambers is seeing that consistently. He threw for 405 yards versus ECU earlier this season.
Jackson, returnable from the 36, runs straight ahead midfield, now cuts it far side, 45-40. Back to the middle, 35-25, and an ankle tackle might have saved 6. Down to the 21-yard line, Ethan Ray saved a touchdown. That's the snapper after a gain of 38.
Yeah, Mike, it looked like clearly now he finally had a clean catch and blocking by his guys up front, and then he's able to make the punter miss, can't quite get away from the long snapper. But that was a nice play by the returner.
Georgia will set up shop in prime real estate once again from the 23 of Charleston Southern. This is a game undoubtedly Georgia hopes to start to play some of the backups, and we will likely see JT Daniels and maybe a couple of others at the quarterback spot in this game. Bennett stays in with Cook to his right. Cook, little razzle-dazzle reverse. That's going to be Brock Bowers. He's got speed to the 15. Bowers breaks a tackle. He's got strength. Leapfrogs a defender at the 5 and knocked out of bounds around the 4-yard line. Brock Bowers with an 18-yard pickup.
Yeah, you don't expect to see a tight end that's able to do this. Cook flips the ball, good blocking. Even Bennett is in there trying to mix it up. And this is where he has that explosiveness. Mike, I'm trying to talk too fast. Look at that. Able to get by guys, able to use his ability to move around, and still doesn't go down. This is the one thing they talk about, how athletic he is and what he can do and make plays.
Bennett joked with us about Bowers. He said, yeah, he's got some serious genes. First and goal. Cook the lone back. Bennett going to throw, completes it, breaking a tackle at the 5, lunging for the end zone, and those genes and that athleticism helps Brock Bowers pick up his 7th touchdown of the season. That leads the SEC for tight ends.
What the Todd Monken say, plays like a yellow lab, right? You keep throwing him the ball, he's going to go get it. I mean, he just doesn't stop. Right here, Stetson Bennett gets it out quick, makes one guy miss, makes another miss, and I'm getting it for 6. This is not what you are accustomed to seeing from a freshman at the college level, but he's a difference maker in this offense, and he's just starting.
Names like Pope, McClendon, Ben Watson, our own Ben Watson of the SEC Network. So many great tight ends have come through this program in recent years. Brock Bowers is shortly going to be added to that list. Just a freshman, folks, out of Napa, California. He is special.
Yeah, I mean, he might be a wine connoisseur, but he is already getting up the list of being able to play tight end. And you can see in the SEC alone, Cameron Latu, Jalen Wadmeyer, you can see right there, Brock, the youngest one of the group, and able to do some things special already as a young player.
And in an offense, as you mentioned, Charles, Georgia doesn't throw a lot because they don't have to throw a lot. They dominate running the football and the best defense in all of college football. So when you have that combination, you don't have to throw it 35, 40 times a game. In another offense, Brock Bowers might be sitting on about 85 receptions.
Well, I think the biggest thing is it gives you an ability to understand and playing the tight end position and playing with some great quarterbacks, understanding what good tight end play looks like. You know, that to me is what you see right away. A lot of times you want to say, okay, is he going to block? I've seen that. He's willing. I always say, are you a willing blocker? And then can you make plays? One of the first plays that he didn't catch, that long throw, I saw speed right away. And those are the kind of things you get accustomed to seeing that make you special from that position.
Hawkins, fair catch. And they'll set up shop at the 25 again. Charleston Southern, of course, led by Autry Denson. I'm starting to feel old because I remember watching Autry Denson when I was in college, and he was playing at Notre Dame and putting up just gaudy numbers. Look at that, 4,318 yards rushing, 22 100-yard rushing games, and 47 total touchdowns, the second most in Notre Dame history. And we talked about the track record. You start off high school down in Boca Raton, Pope John Paul High School, Miami of Ohio, Notre Dame running coach, and then you get the call and the opportunity to coach Division I at the FCS level at Charleston Southern. On first down, and that one just sails high. Jack Chambers right now just trying to get calm down a little bit, just slow everything down a little bit.
Yeah, it's like he's on 78 RPM when the music you want to hear is at 33 RPM. For all of those folks that know, if you're too young, ask your parents or Google it. But
is that on my iPod?
He's way too fast right now. He's just got to slow it down to 33 or 45 so the music plays a little bit better.
Trips to the far side on 2nd and 10. Georgia. Heavy pressure, and the pass is rejected. Nakobe Dean, one of the best linebackers in all of college football.
Mike, they come off so well, and they just do such a nice job coming off the edge. Dean right there knows he's trying to get blocked, but can see the quarterback's eyes and just says, hey, he has one place he can go, that's outside. Great football IQ right there to just say, okay, let me make this play. Those linebackers, Dean, Walker, Tyndall, you'll see other ones as well. They make a lot of plays, and they also make a lot of these decisions for the defense. That's why they're so good.
Nolan Smith added to that group as a special unit for sure. Another 3rd and long. Chambers running all over the place. Goes all the way back near the goal line and then just throws it away. And I lost track. Was he in the tackle box or not?
Once you go out of the tackle box, then you're out of it, and then once you're out, right? So he's out of the tackle box, and then he goes back in, and that's why it's not an intentional grounding. Now the other thing, did it get past the line of scrimmage? That's a whole nother.
That's a whole other situation.
I think the official said, hey, there was so much running around. we may look away.
Let's just go to 4th down. 28-0 game, first quarter. No need to be nitpicky. From the 28, Jackson. Jackson with a spin move. Michael Jackson style at the 30. He's still on his feet. Now at the 20 near side. And he ran about 70 yards. Officially, that return goes for next to 0.
Yeah, he ran all over the field, covered a lot of ground, but it really didn't get anywhere. Where'd he go? Guys blocking and stay after because they know he's probably done this in practice. So we're gonna keep after it. Can we get him around? No, we can't get you around the edge on that one, Jackson. That was a lot of action for Jackson.
Got his cardio in on that return. When it's all said and done, it's at the 29-yard line. Bennett back out there with Kenny McIntosh, the lone back. Under a minute to go, first quarter. Play action. Bennett with time. Deep ball down the sideline, and it looked like Mitchell couldn't make up his mind. Left shoulder, right shoulder, didn't seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to get it to Mitchell, but they couldn't quite get there. Out of Missouri City, Texas, my hometown. But ended up being where the defensive back was the guy that was closest to it. Almost an opportunity for Cameron Smith. Playing well this year, actually.
Donnie Mitchell, the freshman, 22 receptions on the year. No dice on that one. Second down and 10. Handoff, probing the left side and tripped up after a gain of 4 is James Cook. Silvera on the stop for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, Bugsy Silvera had that one in the hole kind of tackle, and Cook has made people miss. More of a slasher like we heard earlier. That was a good tackle by Silvera. Bringing third and a little bit longer than this Georgia team has been accustomed to. But they found ways to make plays on third down today.
On 3rd and 6, 4-man rush. Bennett quickly fires and lasers it complete to the 40 and out to the 49-yard line. First catch of the day for Rosemy Jack Saint. Just his 6th grab of the year. 28-0 after a quarter of play.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff semifinals. Friday, December 31st.
Well, we started off at 48 degrees. The high is 60. Should be a gorgeous day here in Athens, Georgia. Senior day. A lot of smiles so far. A 28-0 performance after 15 minutes of work. Georgia grounding and pounding. 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 different rushers so far in this game. One which no one expected, and that's Jordan Davis getting a touchdown plunge for the first score of this game. The senior defensive tackle. Now Georgia back on offense. Going to our left, Bennett cocks and fires, streaking and incomplete. Trying to hit the tight end, Darnell Washington. Let's go back to this play. You've got a couple defensive linemen on the field, but you got Davis with a head of steam and just falls right over the goal line.
Well, he falls on his own man right there, and he's saying, Jordan, woo, let me get up, brother. Let me get up. That was Warren Erickson laying on the ground like, hey, I block you every day. I don't want you to lay on me on the touchdown, too. But they were celebrating. I mean, no, that's what's so special about college football, when you're able to celebrate with your teammates like that.
Bennett runs extremely well and will throw it complete. Last second, looked like he might have been tossing it out of bounds. He says, no, I've got bigger ideas. I'm going to the former walk-on lad McConkey. McConkey with his 23rd grab of the year.
Look at his high step, though. Look at him. He says he can run for a while, about 40 yards. Lad McConkey, like you said, just really stood out on film, even as a walk-on. Works hard, plays hard, and you can see he got a nice little catch there from Stetson.
James Cook with a penalty flag right near the line of scrimmage. You know, you mentioned with the touchdown with Davis and how good that feels. The thing that's omnipresent when you're around this program, or you have a chance to talk to coaches and players as we do, the chemistry, the locker room, the family.
Personal foul, targeting, number 31 on the defense. The previous play is under further review.
We almost went a whole half without a targeting penalty, but Anton Williams is whistled for one, so now we've got to take a look at it and see if he's going to be able to stay in the game or not.
4th all-time in CSU history with 16.5 career sacks. Key guy for them in their sack game. But you were talking about that from the standpoint of the love that they have and the feel that they have around here. When we come back, we'll talk about it.
They'll take another look at the targeting. We'll come back with a verdict. Well, after looking at it on replay, not surprisingly, the call did stand. Anton Williams guilty of targeting, which means he'll be ejected for the rest of this game. That's a key loss, Charles. He's one of their top defensive linemen.
Yeah, he's played well for him too, and that's a tough situation when you have a guy that has 5 sacks on the year and just been a key component of your defense that has to go out.
So from the 21-yard line on first down, Bennett with James Cook behind him. Play action. Bennett looking now, tosses underneath, complete at the 15. Shake and bake at the 10. Down and escorted out of bounds at the 3 is James Cook.
And you're going to see this targeting penalty that was called, and when we were looking at it in the break, it's just he comes in, launches. Yeah, that's an easy call.
That's pretty much textbook,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. But that last play by Stetson Bennett is the reason why he's at 65%. Looking downfield, and he has to check down to James Cook. And then, hey, James, you helped me out on that last one. Let's get you in for 6. He's really starting to play some good football here late in the year. You know, I mean, he just, you know, Bennett is able to show right here. Look, play action pass. I'm going downfield. Oh, I got my check down. Get it down there. Let him make a play. He makes a guy miss, almost makes another one miss. This is what he brings to the element of his game. And then, okay, we're going to reward you. Offensive line blocked well for me. James Cook in for 6. Out of Miami Central High School, he has played well. You can see, I see Dalvin Cook when I watch him, but he has his own little style too, and he can really catch the ball out of the backfield effectively.
8 plays, 71-yard drive. Cook now 6 carries, 57 yards, and the touchdown makes it 35-0.
Yeah. You know, you expected them to play well this game. I mean, I didn't have any, you know, I've covered some of these games where it's been out of hand or close early. The problem was you could just see this Georgia team is playing at the highest level that they can play. And that makes it tough for a team from any division, but especially an FCS team.
Well, and as we talked about at the top, this is a Georgia defense that keeps tabs on everything.
Yeah.
Where they rank all time, where they rank this year, where they rank in the SEC in every category imaginable. So don't think for a moment, whether it's the first string linebacker or the 5th string safety, they're not going to take their pedal off the gas defensively. They want to pitch another shutout.
It's a certain standard they want to have. If you're going to play on that defense, I've always said it. The only reason I got to the league was because I was playing against great players every single day. 35 in my 4-year career at UCLA. Same thing here at Georgia. They're just putting guys in the league, but every day you got to show up. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to come to practice and take it easy.
Right.
I'm going to chill today, because if you do, you will lose your job or you may not be playing. What it does for a team like Charleston Southern, it gives them a chance to understand, hey, we're gonna keep playing. This is not the end of it, but we'll come back. And you can see here, Mike, this scoring defense for them.
Well, I mean, what's significant there too, 2011 Alabama, that's obviously a contemporary.
Yeah.
But the first few ones that you saw on that list from the 1970s and one from the 1980s, college football was a different game then.
Yeah.
Points were much more difficult to find. In today's day and age of everybody lighting up scoreboards, to do what Georgia is doing, to allow 7 offensive touchdowns in nearly 10.5 games now, that is historically good. Hey, this is the biggest play of the game for Charleston Southern. A great run by Jack Chambers, showing off some wheels, showing off some moves. Biggest gain for the Buccaneers today.
Yeah, he has 7 touchdowns on the year, and just a real nice ability. The offensive line knows this is a clear quarterback draw. And this is what Jack Chambers brings, an element that this defense knew they had to stop. Saying, hey, I thought we would see it earlier, but now maybe this calms him down enough where he can throw the football. Sometimes you need a big run as a quarterback to set you up with the pass.
He was an option quarterback in high school, a 34-yard pickup, biggest play for the Bucs. Now some trickery by the Buccaneers. Oh, goodness, had it there. Intended for Garvin, the tight end. First it went to Schwarting, the wideout. Little double pass, but an incompletion.
You know who makes this play? Dan Jackson, 47. Watch him. They're going to get the ball out. And look at 47, come down hard. He does not let him throw that football, and that's what you need. Those are the kind of things we talk about. If you're going to play on this defense, I don't care how you play or how you do it, you get it done. And that was a nice play by Dan Jackson.
On 2nd and 10 in the flat at the 45, and a nice ankle tackle tripped up was Hawkins. Brini saved what could have been a big gain.
What the defensive backs do here also is they attack you. Demetrius Jones got away with a major hold because the defensive back goes into him and trying to disrupt those plays. He got away with it. He was looking to the sideline, number 11, saying, I know I held, but you didn't call it on me. And they still did not get the yards that they thought they could.
Bucks 1 of 6 on 3rd down. This is 3rd down and 10. Chambers. Heavy pressure, hit as he throws, and it's incomplete.
Channing Tindall bringing pressure, 41 on the edge, coming off. And they said, like, take away air. I love how they say that. Watch 41 coming tight off the edge. Look at that. And you see how the back loses him, 33? Till Garvin, who is a H-back, loses him because he comes so tight off that edge that it makes it tough, and it flashes. And having to block that, I'm telling you, it's not easy. They do such a good job with it, and they bring that speed along with it.
That is McConkey back to receive, and he'll take it. Watch it bounce behind him into the end zone. Georgia will have it when we come back. All Bulldogs here in the first half. Well, we've got Thanksgiving coming up around the corner. This Georgia defense has been feasting on offenses, looking for a 7th shutout half of the season. And you see Kirby and the gang getting ready to feast on the opposing offenses. Those were the goals, the 13 or fewer points, 3.3 yards per rush, 30% on 3rd down. They've accomplished just about everything they wanted to do. The only one that they'd like to see improve, that 33% on 3rd down. Everything else has been beyond elite and dominating throughout this season. This has been a work in progress. Kirby Smart did it so well in Tuscaloosa as a defensive coordinator for Nick Saban, and he has basically modeled so much of what Alabama's been able to do on the defensive side of the football in terms of the type of players that he's gotten, and obviously the dominance on the field.
Yeah, they've been able to play at such a high level defensively, and it's allowed this offense to get better as well. It was early in the season, there was talk, hey, could they compete and play at a high level? And you're starting to see this offense settle into itself.
JT Daniels is the new quarterback now. We told you we'd likely see him. And here early on in the 2nd quarter, the junior from Irvine, California, comes back out there. He's only played 3 offensive possessions since he was cleared from that lat strain injury back on October the 17th. Not a single snap against Tennessee, took a few against Mizzou. You're talking about a guy who was a Heisman Trophy candidate at the beginning of the year and is now playing 2nd string and trying to get some valuable reps. You just never know, Charles. I mean, the way things go in football with injuries and everything else, JT Daniels could play a huge role in Georgia's quest for a natty.
It could. It really could. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams that have to win with 2 different quarterbacks. Guy get injured, guy comes back. Right there on that first particular play for Daniels, you could see the ball coming out of his hands. It's a different thing. And I think that's what helps this offense. They have the ability to have 2 quarterbacks that are highly skilled players.
3rd and 8. Daniels settles in the pocket, uncorks a deep ball, and just out of the reach of Jalen Johnson, the junior out of Duluth. Got one hand on it as he left his feet.
Yeah, you talk about a guy that has an arm. He comes out and shows it on 2 of them. Jalen just couldn't quite get there, but stretches out. And that's the one thing you're going to see with JT Daniels. He has been able to throw the deep ball. He can get the ball down the field. Jalen Johnson almost with a spectacular one-handed catch. Just can't quite come up with it.
Camarda on the punt for the first time today to the 33. Past the 40. Schwarting on the return. Pretty good field position for the Bucks with 10:58 to go first half. 47-yard punt.
Between the hedges. Great play. I mean, when you love college football, you just like going to different venues, and this is one I've always wanted to see a game.
Oh, yeah.
Be in the stadium.
It's been one of my favorites for a long time, and now there's an extra buzz here because I especially living in Atlanta, Georgia's had a lot of close calls and a lot of heartbreak losses to Alabama, many of those which Georgia led by double digits at the half. But this is a team that doesn't seem to have a deficiency. If Kirby's got a team that can go all the way, this would certainly be the one, and I think this fan base knows it. You and I got here hours before kickoff. Fans all over the place. Terrific environment, euphoria in the air.
Yeah, we had to get help to come in the stadium. It was so crowded. And then this morning I went to go get a cup of coffee at about 7:30, and you know, they know when you're coming. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Arbuckle? Oh, it was great. I mean, it was a great atmosphere from the very start this morning.
On 2nd and long, Chambers throws right near the line of scrimmage. That will go nowhere. Shorting caught it, got lit up immediately by William Poole.
They just get there. They get there with an intensity level, and you know, you're trying to figure out, okay, where can we find those weaknesses in the defense? Maybe it's the secondary, maybe it's the linebackers. Every team has deficiencies, but their speed makes up for it. I mean, they're just a fast, physical football team, and you can see why they played so well this season.
Georgia sends 4. Chambers nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Swallowed up again by a sea of red. Zion Logue leading the charge, a loss of 7 on the play. Got help from M.J. Sherman.
Yeah, Mike, what they do also, man, they also mess your numbers up. When they come up with all of these guys here, look, and then the offensive line doesn't know, Sherman is able to come off the edge, and that just disrupts your count. You know, they show everybody coming, and then they pull out, and then one guy is free, and it's going to always be one of those linebackers that brings it. They wanted to see Sherman today and get a chance to watch him play live.
7th punt to the half, and the best return of the half for Georgia. McConkey gets tackled by the snapper after a gain of 33.
Got a great punt returner who can make some things happen. Look at this. One here. I'm going to make a few people miss. I might not get to the house, but I'm going for sure down the field and make you pay.
I mentioned this was going to turn out to be a beautiful day. Uga's got a chance to get some sun and some shade. Little combination. High, it's expected to be at 60 degrees today. Coming up later on, the Florida Gators, one of the most enigmatic teams in the SEC, or for that matter, the country, taking on a Mizzou squad that has struggled this year. The nightcap, Vanderbilt at Ole Miss, and what we know now will be Matt Corral's final home game at Oxford, as he's basically indicated he is going to forgo his final year and head to the NFL draft, and many prognosticators expect him to be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, he's put up great numbers this season, been able to play at a high level, and you know, when you do everything you can at the college level, it's time to move on, and I think he's gotten to that point. Lane's probably saying, hey.
Lane's got to find the next Matt Corral.
That is true.
Keep that momentum going at Oxford. What a year they have had at Ole Miss. Georgia on the move from the 39-yard line. It's Daniels again, sets up the screen. Caught in the flat by Bowers. Bowers puts it in high gear, tiptoes down the sideline and out of bounds at the 17-yard line. Boy, is he fun to watch. This was the tweet yesterday from Matt Corral. Ole Miss forever. Thank you for taking a chance. You can kind of read between the lines there. He is letting everybody know this is going to be his final run with the program, and what a run it's been. Yeah,
when you give it all at one level, you have to thank those folks that got you there and helped you, and now it's time to move on. And I'm sure for Matt Corral and his family, he's really looking forward to that next level.
Daniels handoff, McIntosh off left tackle. banging bodies inside the 10 and out of bounds around the 8-yard line. That'll be a first down. McIntyre on the tackle for Charleston Southern. When I first met Matt Corral doing an Ole Miss game years ago, back when Matt Luke was the coach, I mean, he was so thin, not a big guy. You were wondering, could he take the pounding in the SEC? He answered a lot of critics. The kid is tough, likes to run, doesn't mind contact, and has an NFL arm to boot. On first and goal, they'll keep it on the ground. McIntosh burrows to the 4. It'll be second down and goal for Georgia, up 35-0.
Another one of those Floridians. And guys, this offensive line will go. They're going with the quick pace now. They're also trying to make sure to give Kenny McIntosh another touch.
Bobbled snap. Daniels pounces on it. It'll be a loss on the play.
That's one where you're going way too fast and you can't quite catch up. Watch the bad center snap exchange. The late great Homer Smith would lay under to watch the center snap exchange and critique it to tell the quarterback center guys if it was the right thing. Right there, he would have been livid, thrown his hat down the field and said, guys, that's not how we can do it. It has to be perfect. Has to be perfect.
One of the rare miscues today for the Dogs, who have been in the red zone 4 times today. They've scored 3 of the 4. Third down and goal. Daniels works out of the shotgun. Wide open. That is Bowers, who snuck through and found himself all alone for another score. 8 touchdowns now for the uber talented freshman Brock Bowers.
He had a really nice block earlier on this drive. They had a wide delay where they got him open, and then this one is just, you're going to sneak him out. The defense is a rub route. He got it from his friend Darnell Washington. Zero kind of taking the guy out of the play, and look, there's wide open. So everybody says, why did that happen? Well, Brock Bowers is pretty good, and it's hard to hide him, but he got some help from his friends.
Did you have easy ones like that at UCLA?
I had a couple.
You had
like
a couple?
That. Yeah, usually I had to work a little harder, but those are the ones where you're like, hey, I love it when I can get the end zone somewhat easy.
They all look the same in the box score tomorrow. And Bowers has got 2 more to add to his touchdown tally.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see the trash that the defense has to get through, and it allows Bowers. Watch Darnell Washington at the very end. I'm going to help my buddy out. I'm also get up here and just clean everything out, and then I don't need any other help. It's like they take everything and move it. Lad McConkey is there. They're just, when you are taking rub routes, or what we call them pick routes, rub routes, whatever you want to do, you have to run by defender. But at 6'7", 265, Darnell Washington is a hard target to miss. Guys are going to run into it.
Bowers is going to be a lot of fun to watch for another couple years here in Athens.
And you've seen Todd Monken's offense like I have at its best. We probably haven't seen it really accelerate yet. It's really starting to catch hold, and those are some of the principles you see right there. And with a guy like Brock Bowers and so many other young players that they have to be excited here with some of the things they'll have offensively.
So we're likely not going to see Stetson Bennett the rest of the way. Evaluate what you saw out of Bennett today.
Oh, he played well, played efficient. That was the one error that he made. But after that, just getting the ball out quickly to guys and then letting your backs do the rest. And that ball was tipped. Tylen Chambers with a huge play early. But after that, it's just throw short, let my guys run, and make some plays for him. This has kind of been what he has done for this offense for most of the year. You know, he's made plays 65%. Now you can add another interception, but what he's done is just been a commander there and been able to run when they need him to and throw the ball effectively to his weapons.
So both quarterbacks have got in to the fun here today. Bennett had 2 touchdown passes. Daniels 1 touchdown pass so far, and we might see another quarterback or 2 before this game is over. You see the numbers on Bennett. Really enjoyed the conversation we had with Stetson Bennett. Grew up a Georgia fan. His parents, mom and pop, met in pharmacy school at the University of Georgia, longtime season ticket holders. So there's no question where he wanted to go, and he starts off as a walk-on, then says, okay, I might need to get some reps. I'm not playing here. Goes JUCO in Mississippi, a state full of great junior college football. Comes back here, gets the scholarship. There were some schools he said came late and wanted to offer him, and Stetson said, nope, too late. I'm going to my hometown school, Georgia.
Yeah, I think when you have that and you grow up with a team that you love, it's hard to get that love out of you, and I think that's why the Bulldog fans love him as much as well.
There's another stop on 3rd down. Smith caught it on a quick slant, and William Poole wrestled him to the turf.
He came up quick, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
I will say this, too. It just seems like there's a good chemistry between Bennett and Daniel. They're still competing, but I think it seems like on the surface, we're on the outside in, so we don't know it. They can tell you whatever, but it just seems to be a really good, friendly competition. But they, like you said earlier, you may need both guys.
Absolutely. Of course, the jury is still out as to whether Stetson Bennett will come back for another year. He could do so if he wants to. Going to make that decision after the SEC championship game. Another good return by McConkey, racing down the sideline. And Georgia will be in business plus territory when we come back.
We're back here in Athens. Georgia leads at 42-0 over Charleston Southern, and you guys were talking about it earlier, that relationship between Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels, and it's really been a strong point for this team, with Bennett telling me that you've got the most important position on the field with two guys that really get along together. They have a team-first mindset, and that trickles down throughout the whole team. And when they see that, it really speaks volumes to the guys.
Tiffany, great stuff, and I think it goes to Charles, no matter what level of football it is, college or NFL, when you have kind of a mini quarterback controversy, if you want to call it such, how those players handle it is so key for the entire locker room.
Yeah, everybody's looking at it. They want to know, what it looks like and how that's going to be, and I think that's really critical when you look at how that shakes out. I mean, you have to have two guys that are really key components and weapons. If the locker room is divided between those two, it can cause some consternation, and I think that's the one thing they've been able to do.
Daniels in on 2nd down and 10 from the 40. 5 in the pattern for Georgia. Daniels unloads a deep ball down the sideline. Great coverage on the play. That was intended for McIntosh, and he was shadowed on the play by Sybarth.
So one thing they do a pretty nice job of, getting the ball to the backside of the backfield, making sure that they can make some plays there.
Well, and they've got multiple backs with good hands. We talked about Cook. McIntosh is a guy with 10 grabs on the season. A rare 3rd and long for this Georgia offense. Daniels from the pocket, missiles one complete to the 23. That's Burton on the reception, and Burton will go down. His 3rd grab of this first half. You see that zip on the ball from Daniels. That's why scouts like him.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you start to see now why JT Daniel is in a position where scouts really love what he does and kind of watch how he plays the game. Been injured, hadn't had a chance to really play, and I think that's really a key, why he has, scouts, like you said, have been saying, hey, we really like how this guy plays, just want to see more of him.
Dejon Edwards in a tailback, and he'll wind up catching the ball from Daniels out of the backfield, complete down to the 19-yard line. Dejon Edwards, a sophomore out of Norman Park, Georgia.
See a lot of different players now that'll show up. We talked about it.
Oh, our depth chart's going to get a workout today, Charles. Only so many numbers you can fit on the sheet. Then they throw a Jordan Davis at you on offense and really make things interesting. On 2nd down and 5. Empty backfield. Pass complete to McIntosh. Little bubble screen. McIntosh lost it. Ball on the ground. Buccaneers say they have it.
see big Broderick Jones getting up slowly, but ball comes out. It's like those Georgia Bulldogs were able to get that football.
Very fortunate to get it back. Ball spotted at the 15, so as it stands, a 3rd down and a yard.
Yeah, whenever you work back inside, usually the defensive players, especially if the ball is held there, they will attack it. That's what happened on that particular play.
Daniels from the gun whips it out to McConkey, and McConkey tiptoeing down the sideline inside the 7. They'll mark him out of bounds at the 6-yard line.
McConkey is showing up, making plays. Talk about a real intelligent player.
Yeah, not a walk-on, but a young man who was not highly recruited, and got offered late, and the coaching staff telling us, you know, sometimes you just have to believe what you see on film. And what we saw on film was an SEC caliber receiver, and he has certainly played like one. On 1st and goal, right between the tackles, untouched. Touchdown, Georgia. Edwards on the score.
Yeah, offensive line locking people up. Guys a little bit out of position on the defensive side, but the offensive linemen really, look at those red jerseys, lock up on white. Tight end coming through, John Fitzpatrick, one of the backup tight ends, 86 right there. And it makes it easy for Edwards to walk in for 6.
This extra point might not seem overly significant, but if you like records, it ties the most points scored in a half for Georgia since 1950. 49 points. The last time they did it was in 2011 against New Mexico State.
Well, and you know this as well as I do, guys that are getting a chance to play today, you got to give them an opportunity to play.
Absolutely.
You know? We thought we would see quite a few guys that we haven't called names a lot or haven't been playing a whole lot this year, but I think that helps you as a ball club take advantage of that.
A key rule change that happened a few years ago, and I know coaches love it. I certainly am a fan of it. You can now play a guy in 4 games without having to burn a year of eligibility, without costing the red shirt. So what that does in a game like this late in the year, it allows a player that's been sitting on the bench all season long to get a few reps without costing him a year of eligibility.
Yeah, and the other thing that they've also had is the COVID super senior.
Right.
So you have those guys on one end, and on the other end of the spectrum, you might have a kid that sees 3 games of action, but then you pull him back. And I think that gives you the opportunity to put your players in a position where they can get some experience.
Since that opening drive interception thrown by Bennett, 1 punt and 7 touchdowns for the Georgia offense. Sometimes a game like this you might play a little bit sloppy. That has not been the case overall for Georgia. Don't forget, coming up at the halftime, you can watch the live performance of the Red Coat Marching Band on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming now on the ESPN app. Did you ever play an instrument back in the day?
No, I always wanted to play saxophone or the trumpet and then the guitar. And I started picking with it, and I think I'm gonna learn. I want to learn.
I can see you with a sax, man. I mean, that is our
Clarence Clements.
Oh, that's
yeah. Come
there
on,
you
man.
go. Yeah.
I love. Hey, in the '80s, the sax solo was the bomb.
That was the thing,
that
right?
was the thing, man.
Yeah, you don't get many of those anymore. Charles Arbuckle's going to bring it back second half.
JT Justin
Running
Timberlake
into a brick
back.
wall is Roderick Hawkins. Nazir Stackhouse, backup defensive tackle on that stop.
Yeah, not a brick house, but a stack house. And you talk about bringing sexy back. I'm gonna bring the sax back. He brought the heat. Woo. Stone Mountain, Georgia.
6'3", 320 pounds.
They got a lot of those guys, right? They don't grow on trees, but Georgia seems to have a multitude of them.
They just come in droves, top-notch recruiting classes year after year, and it shows up on the field. Charleston Southern will see if they're just content with ending this first half. That's another brick wall run into by the Buccaneers.
Man, I'm telling you, when they come, man, they don't just kind of lightly let their presence be known. David Shorey, 18, is going to just come right downhill and really just show you, and with ferocity. Sorry, that's why I'm sorry, people, but when I see a good play, I got to let it go and pull right along with them.
Sorey is a true freshman out of Campbellton, Florida. We were told that we're going to see some of these third, sometimes fourth string guys on both sides of the ball. Another run, and again, nothing doing for the Buccaneers. That should take us to the end of half number one, a half thoroughly dominated by the #1 team in the land, the Georgia Bulldogs, 49-0. Our halftime score. Plenty to come on our halftime show, and we'll get you set up for the second half here from Sanford Stadium. 49, Georgia Bulldogs, nothing for the Buccaneers. We'll be joined by Kirby Smart here momentarily. Tiffany Blackman is down with the coach right now. Tiffany?
Coach, well over 350 yards of offense, 49 points. You said your team had to play to your standards on senior day. How are they doing that?
Well, they're doing a good job. I thought we had a couple series there. We mis-executed some, but the guys come out and have played well to give others an opportunity, which that's what today's about.
Speaking of opportunity, your big man, Jordan Davis, how good did that feel to see him rushing for a touchdown?
Felt good to see him get up after it. I was worried about him there getting across the goal line, but he's got good ball security. We worked on his ball security this week and knew he'd have a good time with that.
Certainly paid off. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Tiffany, great stuff. Appreciate it. 49-0. Georgia in the lead at the half. Coming up after the break is the SEC halftime report.
All right, welcome into the SEC halftime report. Dari Doring and Chiswick with you here. And the game, the biggest game, I think, in the SEC. Of course, you've got two ranked teams in it. Arkansas, much improved, taking on Alabama, who sits there, of course, at #2. Big game for both head coaches.
You know, Sam Pittman has done a fantastic job, I think, with this team in the 2 years that he's been there. They're probably has improved as much from last year to this year as, you know, anybody in the country. They've had some great wins over, you know, some very good SEC teams.
We're excited to head to Alabama, play the CBS national game. We know they have an outstanding team, and of course, then you get to Coach Saban, who, you know, obviously is the best coach in the nation and has been for a long time. So very, very big challenge for us. We're excited that it's going to be an afternoon game and excited to go to Alabama.
You love the respect each coach has for the other one. Let's look at Alabama offensively. Yeah. This is a team that is still incredibly good. Are they perfect? No. Are there areas they could improve? Yes, one of which would be protecting their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line has not been a typical Alabama offensive line. Last SEC game out, they only ran for, 4 yards, 6 yards against LSU. But the thing that troubles me more, Chiz, is the protection for Bryce Young. Yeah. They are 10th in the conference in sacks allowed. They've given up 24 sacks this year. And we all know Alabama's fan base has a thirst for points and explosive plays. Well, it all starts with protecting the quarterback. If you can't give Bryce Young time to throw the football, then you can't let guys like Jamison Williams and John Mechie make those plays down the field that they're capable of making. So not only do they have to do a better job to allow him have time to take some of those shots, but I'm worried. He's a slighter guy, Chiz. He's a guy that doesn't necessarily look the most durable, and he seems to have taken a lot of hits, whether it's the 4 sacks against LSU or it's even the plays when he's running the football. I want to see him stay upright and stay unaccosted a little more than he has.
Defensively, 3 players up for the Bednarik Award, best defensive player in college football, one of which is Will Anderson, the linebacker. It feels like we say his name all the time, but have we really taken a dive into what makes him so effective? Why not have our defensive guys show us?
Well, when I look at him, guys, I see a guy that's relentless in how he rushes the quarterback. He's relentless in the run game. And for a quarterback, everything is about being on time, being punctual, if you will. And guess what? Will Anderson doesn't let you be punctual, and here's why. Look at this. This is a run game right now. His alignment alone puts him at a disadvantage for this G block. They're going to block down on him. They're going to pull the guard and run a little toss sweep, right? You got leverage on him. There's no way he can make the play. Watch how fast he escapes over the top of the tackle. And look at the burst to the ball, guys. That is a burst that you can't account for that. Now look at this, opening game. Miami's not going to put one guy on him. They're going to put two guys on him, the right tackle, then they're going to pull the left guard around. Watch him beat the right tackle. The tackle's going to now work inside. Here comes the guard. Look at his balance. He goes down to one hand on the ground. His balance, he never goes down because this is the relentless effort that we're talking about, sack number 1. Now, you can see it from an end zone copy. Now watch this. You'd love to see that right guard come over and help the right tackle, but you know what? They don't do that. They kick the left guard down. They go 4 for 4 to the left. What does that mean? That means the tackle's got him by himself on an island. Look at the B gap. You're trying to block that guy one-on-one. You're giving him a two-way go. He makes the inside move. And guys, there's no way if you put a tackle on him just one-on-one without giving him help with either a running back or setting the guard to him, you got a long night. He leads the country in sacks, 12 and a half.
You know, Dari, I'm convinced that an Alabama player is going to win the Heisman Trophy, but it's not going to be Bryce Young. I think Will Anderson, with a big game this week against Arkansas, a big game in the Iron Bowl, a great performance in the SEC Championship, has as good a chance as anybody to win the Heisman this year.
The numbers are staggering. And for people to he's on a big-time stage again on Saturday. So you're right.
Number 1 in sacks, number 1 in tackles for loss in the entire country.
And if you're a defensive player and you don't do anything offensively, you have to rack up stats. It still wasn't enough for Ndamukong Suh, who I still contest should have won it that year. Right. So we'll see. Maybe.
He's dominating like Ndamukong Suh.
He is.
Do you see anybody on offense dominating the same way Will Anderson is?
No.
Yeah, but you know how this thing goes, man. 900
I
plus
think
people
the voters want to vote for a defensive guy.
And here's the thing. Everybody knows he's going to do the same thing every week, and they still can't stop it.
Yeah. You know what Florida fans know? They better not do the same thing every week. And that's be a bit of a disappointment compared to what was expected. This is not going to be an easy test on the road at a Missouri team who's also, like Florida, playing for bowl eligibility. And I know that the bowl eligibility is going to mean something drastically different for Missouri as it would for Florida. But let's talk about the keys to the game. If you are Florida, CD, and you have been known to be, what has to happen for you to take care of business in Columbia?
Well, obviously, the defense has to play much better than they have the last couple weeks. I mean, that's the thing that's been the most surprising to me. I know you fired your defensive coordinator, but at some point in time, you have to have pride. You have to go out there with effort to execute. You have to tackle. You have to do the little things correctly. And then offensively, this was one of the leading teams in the country when it comes to running the football early in the season. Where's that gone? Yeah. We haven't seen that at all. Take some pressure off of Emory Jones. Run the football against the Missouri defense that has not been great against the run this year.
Commit to the tailback running game, too. Don't just use Emory Jones. I know he's your leading rusher. You got a host of tailbacks at Florida that can run the football, run them.
All right. You're Missouri. You're a team that, again, planned for that 6th win. Your run defense showed a little life last week against South Carolina, last couple of weeks. What do you have to do to knock Florida out and get yourself 6 wins?
Feed the beast. You know who the beast is?
Yes.
Tyler Beatty.
Tyler Beatty.
Yes.
With over 1,200 yards rushing. And guys, we say it every week. This guy's had 4 200-yard performances. He is the weapon on offense. Everybody knows he's going to get the ball. He's durable. He's stronger in the fourth quarter than he is in the first quarter. You can't stop the guy. So feed him the ball. That's number one. Number two, they can't turn this ball over. I mean, Connor Bazelak in the last 3 games that he's played, 5 picks. That can't happen. And then defensively, continue on the trend of being able to stop the run. We talked about Florida's need to run it. Missouri needs to keep working in the direction of stopping it.
To your point, Jiz, I mean, the fact that Beatty's had the season he's had without the support of the passing game, without any receiver that can really take the pressure off the run game, is just amazing.
Everybody knows what's going to happen when they have the football. By the way, Florida's given up more points in their last 4 games than in any 4-game stretch in over a century. That's not good. They also haven't lost 4 straight conference games in 4 years, and they're trying to avoid that as well. All right, that's just one of the multitude of games. We'll take you all around the SEC when the day comes to an end, when Vandy and Ole Miss is over in Oxford with SEC football final. We'll see you at that point. We'll see you plenty before that as well.
With a Heisman vote, I got your touchdown. I see you, big number 99. Jordan Davis has done everything that an interior defensive lineman can do, and now he's got a touchdown to his credit as well. Georgia up 49-0. Coming up later on, it'll be Florida, Missouri. Tyler Beatty starting to light it up for Mizzou. The Florida defense really has been gashed in the last 3 conference games. And then the final home game for Matt Corral. Vanderbilt defense, the one thing that they have done well this year, takeaways, 12 interceptions, but Matt Corral does not throw many of them. That is for sure. Great opening half for the Georgia Bulldogs. Whether it's Daniels, whether it's Bennett, it's been a whole lot of Brock Bowers, talented freshman tight end with 2 scores. Georgia up 49-0. All smiles for the Georgia faithful in half number 1. The Bulldogs well on their way to improving to 11-0, leading at 49-0 at the half. Senior Day here at Sanford Stadium. And with that, we say hello and welcome once again. He is the tight end in a tight end world. It was a big one for the Georgia tight end, Charles Arbuckle. I'm Mike Morgan. Charles, there's so much to like about this Georgia team. Where do you start? Sometimes in a game like this, you think maybe a little bit of a letdown, maybe the effort's not there. Not the case with this team.
No, they said their effort was going to be high energy and plus, and right away we saw it, Mike. I mean, they were able to just come away with touchdowns and then do so many different things early in this game that it got their crowd excited.
Started off kind of a little bit shaky with a rare turnover on an interception by Stetson Bennett, but after that it was all Georgia. And how about the big man Jordan Davis?
And that's the second carry. He didn't quite get in on the first one, but he comes back, and then the offensive line locking people up along with the tight end and Zamir White showing that speed to the outside. But if you're a tight end, you want to see other good tight end play, Brock Bowers has it for you. Making 2 guys miss, getting in. He says, hey, I'm a willing blocker, but I love when I can get my hands on the pigskin and take it in for 6. These are the opportunities from a tight end that you want to have, and this Georgia team has abundance of yards with some really talented players.
The balance was there, 195 on the ground, 178 through the air, 373 total to just 28 for the Buccaneers. For more on half number 1 and look ahead to half number 2, here's Tiffany.
Hey guys, I just spoke with Charleston Southern coach Autry Denson, and he told me regardless of what's going on, it's 0-0. That's the message he told to his guys during the break at halftime. And he said they have to go out and just make plays. He knows Georgia's going to make a certain amount, but the point is we can't give them anything.
Certainly the margin of error is pretty much in the red at this point for Charleston Southern, just trying to find some positives to build on. Already just playing in this game on the road, SEC opponent number 1 in the nation. No matter how it winds up, means so much to the players that don't often get a chance to play at an SEC venue. Charleston Southern will try to get some points after another scoreless half put together by the Georgia defense. That is 7 on the season already for Georgia.
Yeah, and I think once you start doing it as a defense, you kind of expect, hey, how will we continue to not let people get in our end zone? I mean, it just becomes, when you've only given up 7 touchdowns as a defense and scored 3, I think they're committed to saying, can we get the same balance? Can we get 7 touchdowns on the year? Only, you know, there's going to be some challenges. They're going to have teams fight them and get there, but I think their defense wants to play an active role in helping this team, and they've done a nice job of keeping people out of the end zone.
Not just good, but historically great. As you mentioned, just 7 offensive touchdowns surrendered all year by that Georgia defense. We'll see if they can keep the Buccaneers out of the end zone here for the final 30 minutes on Senior Day in Athens, where the temperature is expected to get to about 60 degrees. Perfect day, November football between the hedges, and that Georgia defense will storm back onto the field. Now, if you're Jack Chambers, Charles, this is a young man that's played some really good football this year in the Big South Conference, but obviously he's never seen this kind of pressure. How do you adjust in half number 2?
Well, I like when they had him running the football a little bit, because it seemed to get this offense moving. If they can do that, maybe some design runs, some things that can just get this defense to slow down just a little bit, because if they're able to pin their ears back, it's been a tougher problem for this offense for Charleston Southern.
Oscar the lone back on first down. Instead, they go far side, and that's a whole lot of traffic As the ball was thrown to Schwarting.
You can see this defense, what they've been able to do today. We talk about it, not giving up any rush yards, passing yards. I mean, it's just, you expected them to do this. This is a team that they should have, but I don't think they look at it as how can we play even better ourselves. That's the one thing I kept hearing everyone talk about this week as we got prepared for this game.
On second down, to the ground game, trying the right side is Oscar. A number of red jerseys there. We're going to see a lot of backups, so start digging a little bit deeper on the depth chart for that Georgia defense.
And that was a good example there. It looked like there was a hole for the running back, and then all of a sudden it just closes down quickly.
Now on 3rd and 8, Georgia brings a blitz. Pass is caught in the flat near the 29. Well shy of the marker. It's David Daniel, true freshman safety. That'll be the 7th 3-and-out today for Charleston Southern, forced by this great Georgia D.
Anytime you get something, you think it's going to be uncontested right there. Garrett Schwarting thinking, I got a chance, and no, right away he's tackled.
Freshman receiver Muse is back to receive the punt. Little rugby style. And attempted catch by one of the up men. It went right through his hands. I believe that's Dominic Blaylock. We were told earlier, folks, and this is worth noting, Dominic Blaylock, who hasn't played all season long, he's been hampered by his second ACL injury, has played today on special teams. There you see number 8 in red. So we will see Blaylock get a chance to make some plays on the offensive end as he continues to work his way back. George Pickens has been working non-contact drills in practice, so there is a chance they could have a full complement of receivers by the time we get into either Atlanta or the college football playoff, both which seem to be well within range for this Georgia team.
Yeah, there was some excitement that, you know, they're able to get some of those guys back that have been out, coming back from injury. And, you know, JT Daniels is also, you can see his numbers so far, 7 of 10, 73 yards. One touchdown to Brock Bowers.
In addition to the ACL injuries that Blaylock has suffered, he's one of the many Georgia players that have suffered from the flu recently. They had a flu bug, which touched a number of players, as it does teams across the country this time of year. Edwards can't hold on to the toss from JT Daniels. Expect to see JT Daniels maybe the entire third quarter. It wouldn't be surprised if they go to the third string Carson Beck, we're told. Good chance we'll see the redshirt freshman from Jacksonville later on in this game.
Crowd quiet on offense, revved up on defense.
Yeah.
That's an experienced, understanding football crowd, right?
Absolutely. 3 in the pattern, make it 4 in the pattern on 3rd and 11. That ball was right in between 2 defenders intended for Jackson Meeks, another freshman. He's from Phoenix City, Alabama. That's luckily not picked off. That was a dangerous throw.
JT trying to fit it into a tight window. You see 17 coming to your screen. Good pass protection there. Almost was able to come up with it, but great job by Dominique Pagano getting that hand in there, knocking it out.
Only the second punt of the day for Georgia. This one's a thing of beauty. It's going to bounce right near the goal line, and did it hit the goal line or not? It did, so they'll say a touchback. That almost was about as perfect a punt as you will see. 61-yard punt, no return. Tried to pin it inside the 1 and just got some of the chalk. Well, you know, Georgia's already locked down the Eastern Division, another trip to Atlanta for Kirby Smart and company. The West is not quite settled. If Alabama takes care of business at 3:30 today against Arkansas, they will clinch another berth to the SEC championship game, which would bring us to another classic matchup of Georgia-Alabama. That is something most of us expected. I know A&M pulled off the upset among all upsets earlier this year against Alabama, but Bama is still Bama. They're looking great on both sides of the ball right now. Georgia is dominating as anybody. I would just say this, the rest of the league, there's been some good stories outside of that. The Mississippi schools, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, it's not just Lane Kiffin making noise. Mike Leach has made some noise in Starkville.
I think a lot of people have been shocked, but some aren't, because you know what Leach can do when he has a team and has it moving the way he wants it to.
You know what's funny about that, Charles? There's been a lot of, dare I say, hot take artists that came out and said, well, Mike Leach's offense will never work in the SEC.
I heard that also.
Right? He's too stubborn. He's too predictable. It'll never work in the SEC. Will Rogers is lighting up everybody, and they're scoring a ton of points. So I'd say the offense is working.
They're playing some pretty good football.
A 3rd down and 4 for Chambers and company. Rolls out left, throws underneath, and the route was jumped big time by David Daniel, one of the many true freshmen on the field right now for Georgia in red.
Yeah, man, they're moving the pocket, but even with that, you still have to guard against throwing the ball in here. When David Daniel broke on it, fortunately for Chambers, it was low and away. Almost that baseball mentality, a little outside. And he was fortunate, because if it had been inside, that would have been a pick by Daniel.
Now Miller Braddock has been a busy man today. This is his 9th punt. He might have to ice down that foot on the way back to Charleston.
I've never seen so much movement on a punt.
All that for another rugby kick, and this time the up man does catch it cleanly and then weaves his way out of bounds. A 28-yard punt, and that's Blaylock on another return. So Dominic Blaylock is back.
Yeah, the fans acknowledge it. Like you said, between he and George Pickens, you know, a few guys that figured to play some key roles this year. Good to see him getting back into action.
And now our 3rd quarterback for Georgia today. That's Carson Beck, the highly touted redshirt freshman out of Jacksonville. He's been running a whole lot of scout quarterback for Georgia of late. Got hit low as he threw that one intended for Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, Chandre Mims, excuse me. He was in there quick. Talked to him a little bit this week too, just talking about some of the things that he wanted to do, and said he played against some of Zamir White's teammates in the East-West game, so he knew right away. He said there was going to be a little trash talk between those guys, but he had a lot of respect for this Georgia team and what he had seen on film.
2nd down toss, jump ball, and caught. Jackson Meeks makes the adjustment midair and reels it in. Beautiful play.
Yeah, he wanted to make up for what happened that last time when JT Daniels caught him and he couldn't quite hold on to it, going up and apexing it. That was a great catch by Meeks, going up, getting the ball at his highest point. Matthew Williams on the coverage, just can't quite climb the ladder with it.
Gain of 26. Beck does have 1 touchdown pass on the season. Run up the middle, breaking tackles at the 10, the 5, diving toward the goal line, and just shy will be Edwards. Terrific 2nd and 3rd effort for the sophomore out of Norman Park, Georgia.
That last catch by Meeks kind of reminds you of A.J. Green, and then you see this coming down where a guy running hard. All these Georgia backs over the course of time, you can just pick names, whether it's Garrison Hurst or going all over history. They run hard and consistent, and it just seems to be something about watching this Georgia team having running backs and great receivers. Look at this, just gonna power inside. You know, just physicality, and the offensive line knows, hey, if we make a little crease, the guy's going to run hard. It's going to just keep pounding and keep going. Zamir White does it. James Cook. Edwards comes in and now says, okay, I want a little bit of this.
2nd and goal. Beck, handoff. Nothing doing that time for Edwards. Might have lost a yard.
And I will say this too with Charleston Southern. I mean, they are outmatched, but what I like is they keep fighting. You know, these guys have been battling. You know, a Georgia team that just really is a physical team, the #1 team in the country, and you get an opportunity to play them. I think the way you respect that is that you battle hard. You give it all you got, and you know they've been doing that consistently throughout this ball game.
Only will make them better for the guys that'll be back next year. Now on 3rd and goal. Beck out of the gun, rolls out right. Now going to tuck it and run, and great pursuit that time. Open field tackle by Garrett Say, the very talented linebacker for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, this offensive line has it held up. No one to throw to, so Beck says, I'm going to run it. But Garrett Say, 87 tackles before this game, really came up hard, made a nice play. He had 16 tackles against Campbell. He just had a stat stuffer game. 2 forced fumbles, interception, tackle for loss, and oh, by the way, he was the Big South Defensive Player of the Week that week with such a huge effort.
Gonna go for it on 4th down. Edwards the lone back. Tight set for Georgia. Fake it. Play action and zone. No, picked off. Buccaneers read it all the way. Cameron Smith gets the pick. 2nd interception for Charleston Southern today.
Talked about a guy playing well. Cameron Smith has been doing that. Too many guys in that end zone. You can't throw it in there. Carson Beck, a young player, trying to force it into that white jerseys. Cameron Smith said, no, I got this one, guys. I got it.
Georgia Bulldogs well on their way to improving to 11-0 on the year. A deeper look inside the numbers. You've got a chance to have one of the best seasons in SEC history. This is the best points per game differential in conference play. The teams highlighted in blue all won the national championship. Alabama lost in a classic against Clemson. That was the Hunter Renfro game. Otherwise, that would be 4 for 4. So there's Georgia sitting at plus 255, trying to win their first national championship in a little more than 4 decades.
And it always shows you, we talk about great offenses, right? What wins it, right? What actually wins championships?
What is that play? They snap it to Chambers, who was lined up all the way outside the hashes, and he throws it, and they complete the pass. I don't know what that was, but it's good for 8 yards.
They're pulling everything out of the pocket.
Why not? Yeah. 2nd and 2. Oscar gets to the edge, gets a first down.
You want to make sure whoever you're playing over the next few weeks has to game plan for it. And their longest drive today, Charleston Southern, was 2 minutes and 33 seconds. 9 drives of less than 2 minutes. Let's see if they can keep this ball and get some offensive momentum going.
Just got their 4th first down of the game. Oscar takes it to the 35.
We see a lot of backups for the Georgia defense. I think that's good. I mean, that was the one thing, we had talked about on those calls, how many guys are going to play, and they were saying we're going to try to get as many as we can in, because as well as I do, they don't get an opportunity to play in the games. They get to practice, and they'll get some action, but they're getting a lot of time today against this Charleston Southern football team.
Tiffany Blackman, what do you have?
Yeah, you guys talking about the fight of Charleston Southern. When I spoke with their linebacker, Garrett Say, he told me that, this being their last game, that he kind of would love to go out on top, but he said this could be compared to being like in a national championship in the FCS game, but this is the second best thing to that, going out against the #1 team in the country.
No matter how the score winds up, to your point, it would be a 63-yard score for Garris Schwarting. Say
was
what?
The craziest play. Turnover happens, and from a tip ball, I mean, you can't make this one up. And then the turnover, and Schwarting goes in and to the other way. Now, ball is tipped. It's the initial play, turnover, and then Schwarting just takes the ball away.
Oh, my goodness.
He just takes it away.
That was Xavier Sori who had the pick, had the ball, and then all of a sudden, Schwarting just comes right from behind and says, I'll take this, thank you very much.
And Schwarting, like we said earlier, scored 4 touchdowns against the Citadel early in the year. He's a guy that he was very lightly recruited, got an opportunity to make this ball club, and look at that. Oh, wow. That was a crazy turn of events.
If you know the way George is thinking.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct against the Charleston Southern bench. That penalty being forced on the kickoff. The touchdown is good.
You can't be woofing when you're down 49-6. You know the way Georgia is.
Yeah.
They're thinking, man, we just lost the shutout. Like, they're mad about that play.
Lost the shutout and now have given up, what, 8?
8 touchdowns.
So that really, that was one of those situations where Sori has to hold on to the football. He had it in his hands and gave it up.
Bizarre play paves the way for the first score by Charleston Southern. The pick, the strip, the sprint, and the score. Buccaneers on the board. .540 to go, third quarter. Charleston Southern on the board on a bizarre touchdown, 49-7. They did pick up the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, so they'll have to kick it all the way from the 20. Good chance for Georgia to take advantage on the return here. That touchdown, of course, will not go against the Georgia defensive ledger. Technically, it was a fumble recovery. The return is scooped up at the 42. Penalty flag on the other side of the field. Don't forget, coming up later on today on the SEC Network, been a bizarre year to say the least for Florida. Now going up against Missouri. Tough year number 2 for Eli Drinkwitz, although they're coming off a big win against South Carolina. Vanderbilt Commodores taking on Ole Miss and Matt Corral, and it'll be Matt Corral Day, the final home game at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium for the talented young man out of the state of California. Got a lot of Californians deciding to play college football in the SEC, and I'm here for it.
During the play, there were 2 number 8s on the receiving team. That penalty is declined. First down.
We know one of them was Blaylock.
Yeah.
We talked about him a bunch already.
And MJ Sherman was the other one.
There you go.
So what happens is when you have 2 guys that normally play there, you got to make sure they don't both have the same jersey. And I know the defensive guys were thinking like I was, is that defense going to count against us? Or it doesn't count against them, but it counts against your scoring ledger.
Absolutely. You lose the shutout. That's not going to make many people happy on that regard. Georgia, I would expect a whole lot of chewing up clock and running the ball here the rest of the way. Carson Beck stays in the game, the third quarterback we've seen today for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, you talk about great Georgia running backs. Rodney Hampton from the Houston area. I can remember when he came out here, we were around the same time, and Hamp and I played in the league at the same time. They've always just had some guys that could tote the rock, man.
Garrison Hurst, Tim Worley,
Lars Tate,
Nick Chubb. The list goes on and on and on.
And, you know, we don't.
There's Blaylock, first catch of the year.
So you can talk about the Herschel. Everybody knows Herschel Walker, right? 34. We know that, but it's just been, you know, like an assembly line of great running backs out of this stable.
Just keep coming and coming. Beck with time, wide open at the 25, streaking down the sideline inside the 10. That's another tight end. That's Brett Seither.
Yeah, just really nice job of getting the ball. Fake out there, get the defense moving. Nice run and catch. So many different guys trying to get involved in the action. A really good opportunity for Carson Beck to come back after that last drive. Sometimes you get that first pick or get it picked off, you settle down. Coming into today's ball game, he was 5 of 13. 1 pick, 1 touchdown.
Well, the thing about this too, that this might seem like insignificant snaps or a drive for a young man like Carson Beck. In the day and age of the transfer portal, when you're not playing a whole lot at quarterback, there's always the possibility of leaving. He'll be happy about that play. Touchdown, Georgia. Back to the tight end, the sophomore out of Clearwater, Florida.
Yes, Ether. Nice job again. Right down. Look at that. You want to see what it feels like to catch the rock, turn the rock, and score the rock. Seether with a nice touchdown there. Nice throw by Carson Beck. And you said it best. You're putting yourself on film every time you get a chance. That's what people want to see. How does he fit into our system? Or how is he going to fit into the Georgia system if he keeps developing like he's supposed to? But quarterbacks don't tend to seem to stay places. And I'm not saying, we're not projecting that. We're just saying the truth in the matter.
Absolutely. That's just the way things are in this day and age of the transfer portal in college football. So there you have a 3rd-string quarterback hitting a 4th-string tight end, and Brett Seether for the touchdown. 56-7 on a 4-play, 50-yard touchdown drive for Georgia, much as we expected. Georgia came into this game about a 50.5-point favorite.
So, Mike, you bring up a great point. I do an unsigned showcase for seniors and didn't do it because of COVID. I've done it for 4 years. Terry Donahue, my former coach, whose picture's on the wall back here, rest in peace, but he did that as well as Phil Kent. And you have D2, D3, and NAIA kids coming out to work this camp and get a chance to be seen. With the transfer portal, with the COVID year, with kids getting 4 games and then being able to stay, high school recruiting has changed.
Right.
You talk to the high school coaches, it's become so much harder for kids to get opportunities. And I think you're starting to see how that's going to manifest itself now that we're getting out of COVID. And I'm just curious to watch how it plays out, because recruiting has changed. And coaching staffs have changed to adapt to that.
Well, another way it's changed is you've got kids that are basically graduating early, almost foregoing their senior year of eligibility, and then before you know it, they're on a college campus, and sometimes even those kids are playing. 17-year-olds playing big-time college football. So, I mean, just in the last 5 years alone, the landscape of recruiting and player development and the overall transfer rule has changed so many things about college athletics and specifically college football. But one thing's for sure, when you recruit the way Georgia does, no matter what the rules are, advantage Georgia, because you're bringing in top classes every year.
And you have the resources to have analysts and guys on your staff that know how to identify what's going to be best for you, whether it's a high school senior, whether it's a 6-year player that's COVID senior, super senior, or whether it's a young freshman. And you said it best. Guys coming to school early, they can graduate earlier, which puts them in a position to still have years on the football field, but maybe they're as a graduate player as they get to your program.
8 yards on 1st down for the Buccaneers. Chambers remains in the game for Charleston Southern. All kinds of backups on defense for Georgia now, but still providing some hard hits. That time, it's Dumas, Johnson. They call him Pop.
Maybe because he brings a pop?
Yeah, well, he popped him right there. On 3rd down and a yard. Chambers will work out of the shotgun. Little orbit motion. High snap, handoff, straight ahead running, 1st down yardage for the Bucks. Mitchell on the tackle. This is almost resembling a spring game at this point in time. Charles, you and I have broadcasted some spring football games. You get into that second half and you start digging deep into the depth chart.
Like NFL preseason games.
Yeah, I've done a few of those too, absolutely.
Hey, but you know what? Whenever a guy gets on the field, I want to give him his just due.
Absolutely.
Any opportunity to highlight a young guy playing well, you want to do it.
And the thing is, if you're running fourth or fifth string with Georgia, chances are by the time you get your opportunity, you're going to be one heck of a player. Looks like another double pass, a one hopper back to Chambers, who gets in the fetal position and is crushed by two Georgia defenders. That is Walthour and Munden.
Yeah, when you have slow developing plays like that, that's a kiss of death. This Georgia defense is way too fast, and Munden was there. It was just no chance. Norton, the big defensive lineman, making a play.
Trips up top for Chambers. Feed it into the belly of his running back, T.J. Ruff.
Ruff is listed as a wide receiver, but he's getting a lot of time at in the running back position. When you watch film, that's the case as well. Sometimes, you know, just because you play a position, if somewhere gets thin, they kind of have to move you around, and T.J. Ruff is getting some opportunities.
Third down, 21.
Third down and 21. Chambers going deep down the sideline, bobbled and incomplete, intended for Caden Jordan. That's Lavoisier Carroll, true freshman out of Warrenton, Georgia, on the coverage.
Some really good protection by that offensive line for Charleston Southern. And great breakup of the pass there. Caden Jordan can't come away with it. He's got a ball club that, like I said, trying to battle with this Georgia team. Just, man, they got athletes all over, guys flying to the football on every single play. There's going to be a movement.
False start. Offense, number 26. 5-yard penalty. Fourth down.
Levon Holland got started a little bit too quickly on that one.
Fourth penalty on Charleston Southern, 48 yards. They actually haven't made a ton of mistakes. Sometimes in a mismatch like this, it gets real ugly with turnovers and penalties. They've just been outmanned, but they've played a relatively clean game.
You talk to their staff, they said that's what they've done. You know, they've been a team that's played pretty well, haven't beat themselves, played well, and kind of got in position to make plays.
Final 15 is coming your way from Athens. Harry Dog enjoying what he's seeing so far. Pretty much the only thing we haven't had in this game is a Clark Huxtable dancing Christmas tree in the crowd scene. Oh, wait, we've got that covered. Check that box. We're all set now.
We send you to school so you can have fun.
I guess I should say Clark Griswold. I'm mixing families there.
I knew where you were going.
Yeah, the Griswolds would be very happy with that look. Deep ball down the near side, adjusting, and it was short. Intended for Johnson, but Cameron Smith had time to catch up to the pass. A little more mustard needed on that one from Carson Beck.
Yeah. Well, if you talk about drives that have taken place, Georgia with only 2 3-and-outs. There have been 8 3-and-outs by Charleston Southern. So Georgia has really been able to, I mean, we talk about dominance on the defensive side. Their offense has played really well today, which we kind of expected. they're really high on Jalen Johnson too. I think he's got some opportunities, and we've seen it a few times. From the standpoint of speed, they like to go deep with it.
Beck showing off a little speed of his own with a scamper of 12 yards and a first down.
Nice little run. Defensive front has done this. You watch them on tape, they will get those hands up, make sure they knock the ball down. We saw it earlier in the game, happened to Stetson Bennett, one of the reasons why they had that turnover. It was Tylen Chambers earlier.
In case you're wondering who the next person in line at quarterback would be to possibly get some snaps today, that'd be Brock Vandegrift, the true freshman out of Bogart, Georgia. Another highly touted kid coming out of high school. We were told good chance we might see him as well. Beck is the third quarterback we've seen so far today. In fact, here's the breakdown for Georgia. We've seen 3 quarterbacks. We've seen 9 rushers and 12 receivers so far in this game for the Bulldogs.
Beck gets the ball out quick too. You know, just watching him, and haven't had a lot of tape on him, but when you get to see somebody live, gets his lower half going, throws the ball pretty well. We've seen some really nice throws by him as well. Doesn't get an opportunity. I'm sure they've seen it in practice, but we're watching a guy that can move away and get off schedule and do this. See, the receiver wasn't even ready. I mean, and I knew that ball was coming out because I could see his eyes looking down the field. He's going to say, hey, John, I got you, man. Just be ready for me. I'll get it to you. You know, you think about staying alive, not the John Travolta staying alive, but the staying alive as a receiver, making sure that you stay open and you stay available.
Did you just drop a John Travolta staying alive reference?
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to sing it.
Hey, it's fourth quarter. It's 56-7. Bring it. This is American Idol the rest of the way. Punt goes into the end zone. Georgia will have it 1st and 10.
My kids are at home.
Excuse me, Charleston Southern will have it 1st and 10 from the 20.
My kids are probably thinking, Dad,
don't do it. Don't do it, Dad. We got a reputation to uphold. You know, you saw a shot earlier there at Jordan Davis, and to kind of go back to the theme of this team, if you go back to the offseason, that's when 2 of the most important decisions were made. That's when that young man, Jordan Davis, and his teammate on the defensive line, Devontae Wyatt, 2 guys who easily could have gone pro, easily could have been high draft picks, said, nope, we've got unfinished business, going to come back for another year. Jordan Davis wants his degree, wanted to stay where life is pretty good here in Athens, and only has enhanced his stock. I mentioned I wouldn't be surprised if he actually gets some Heisman Trophy votes. He'll certainly be getting top 3 votes. And when you can get players that don't always just race to go early to the draft, that's the sign of a program that is at its healthiest. We've seen it in recent years with Clemson and Dabo Swinney, guys that were going to be high picks coming back for another year. Georgia's got that going on now.
Yeah, they do, because they understand this is a great play. My 4 years in college were the best I ever had. I mean, I met great friends, great people. I met my wife. And I think the thing is, when you are at a place where you know there's love, you go look at the love he's going to get after this. This is not fake. That's all real, because they saw how hard this kid came in and he worked and he put himself in position. And that's truly, offensive linemen don't give love like that to D linemen.
Not
it's
normally.
Because they make each other better. Iron sharpens iron. And I think when you hear the story about kids always saying, you know, I'm a 5-star, I'm a this, Jordan Davis was not that. But he was a kid that they knew had the potential. And that's why when he comes out on this field before the game, I'm listening for every senior. He got the loudest applause. And when he scored the touchdown, it was the same thing. And that's not fake. That's real.
It's real, and you hear so often the term the culture of a program. It's stories like that that build a really strong culture. A young man. There's a ton of 5-stars on this Georgia 2 deep. Don't get me wrong. But 2 of their top players, Jordan Davis, overlooked by some scouts. Stetson Bennett doesn't get much more overlooked than that. He's a former walk-on. And these are two of the guys that might be leading them to the college football playoff and a potential national championship. So you combine that with all the All-Americans littered all over the place on this Georgia roster, it just makes a really good complement of players and personnel.
And I don't think Devontae Wyatt gets enough credit for how good he is.
Right.
I mean, we talked about that on the call. He's a guy that, you know, they say 99 is the key, but I think 95, man, he, you know, Trey Scott, you talk about recruiting outside of your footprint. He kept those two guys in the room. That was a huge coup for this defense, and that's why we're seeing these historic kind of records and numbers that we're talking about.
And you mentioned a key name on that staff, and that is Trey Scott, the D-line coach. He's got a great bond with his players. One of the reasons why so many of them have elected to stay in the program.
I can just tell you, Mike, from playing in college to going to the pros, it's straight up business when you get to that next level. When you're in college, it's business, but it's love because it's family. These are the guys you grew up with, the guys you hung out with, the guys that you learned how to grow up with.
How long has it been since the Georgia Bulldogs won a national title? Well, you know the guy who led the way, number 34, Herschel Walker, one of the best to ever do it. As a true freshman, the Georgia Bulldogs would knock off Notre Dame en route to a national championship, the 1981 Sugar Bowl. The final score was 17-10. You want to know how different the game is now compared to then. Now, Georgia is about as run dominant of a great football team as there is in college football today. In that game, when Herschel wasn't running, Buck Bellew was throwing, and old Buck was 1 for 13. He completed one pass for 7 yards, and they still won the Natty.
Yeah, whenever you tell people that stat or you bring it out, people are just amazed if they don't know the history of college football, and that's one that always amazes me, even when I hear it now.
Fourth quarterback, we told you he might see some action. Brock Vandegrift, yet another 5-star recruit into the Georgia backfield. He goes 6'3", 205 out of Bogart, Georgia. And he is rocking some lettuce back there.
Yeah, Brock Vandegrift. Savon Clark getting some carries now.
Vandegrift was a great basketball player and also ran track in high school at Prince Avenue Christian. He went 13-1 en route to a state championship his senior year.
Didn't quite want to go 3 and out. Wanted to keep that thing going.
Yeah.
Coach coaching them up. Hey, come on, Brock. I know your hair looks good, man. You got to make it down the field. You know, that's a defensive back going to talk to a quarterback. Always. It was good catching up with him as well. Just listening to him understand what his program could do, where they're sitting, and, you know, what they needed to do today.
Bounce at the 40. And it'll roll dead inside the 30-yard line. Buccaneers back on offense. All dogs in Athens. .908 to go. Some of the fans have gotten an early start on all of what downtown Athens has to offer. Plenty to be happy about if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, about to improve to 11-0 and still have a chance to have a record-setting year. These were the numbers going into the game. The differential points per game, points allowed. The record is 2011 Alabama. Here's what's going to cut a little bit for Georgia on that, Norm. If you just joined us, the 7 points that they gave up came after a Georgia interception and then fumble return for a touchdown by Charleston Southern. That's how they got their only score. It wasn't based on a true defense surrendering 7, but that's the way it'll look in the final score. A little more razzle-dazzle. I'll tell you what, oh my goodness.
They're pulling it all out.
I'm not even sure if that's completely legal, but it's incomplete nonetheless.
it looks like something we used to do back in the day, but I'm glad they're pulling it all out.
Absolutely.
Talk about big plays. Georgia 17, Charleston Southern only 1. And then you can add the fumble recovery as another one. So basically 2 big plays by this Charleston Southern football team.
Autry Denson, offensive coordinator Clay Coaster having some fun here in the second half with the play calling anyway.
Puts it on tape, so other teams now have to pay attention to it.
Good run behind the right side of that offensive line by Ruff.
Ball tip, interceptions, Sorry taken away. I mean, Garish Schwarting takes it back to the house. So you talk about the big play. Charleston Southern will look at that and say thank you for the opportunity to make a play.
3 for 16 on third down are the Bucks. Hey, that's a first down. Make it 4 for 17.
Well, the other thing with Charleston Southern, last game, they're going to empty the tank, let it all out. I'm thinking further ahead for Georgia. But Charleston Southern says, hey, whoever we play next year, you have to schedule. You got to be ready for whatever we're bringing today.
Now for Georgia, of course, they still have one more game left before Atlanta. That'll be against Georgia Tech. And while it is technically an in-state rivalry, it's been very one-sided of late, particularly under Kirby Smart. That's the best throw of the game by Chambers, and
Really
Schwarting held on. Big play for Charleston Southern, goes for 28 yards.
We didn't get to talk about it much, but they had 3 receivers with 45-plus catches. Schwarting, one of those guys, Jaden Jordan, Jeffrey Wall, really a lot of guys that can make plays. They had the potential to have 3 guys over 50 catches for the first time, I think.
First time in school history. That's absolutely right.
False start.
Nugget
Offense,
we got from
number
their
79.
SID
penalty.
before the game
First
today.
down.
Some great sports information directors, including the great Claude Felton. 40 years strong here in Athens. Nobody does it better. Got to certainly give major respect to Claude every time we come out here. It's a first-class job done by him. Want to thank our great crew and the men here in the booth to our left and right. We've got Lee Torben, our spotter, who's going to have nightmares of Jordan Davis pre-snap in his sleep tonight. We've got Robert Mitchell, Dr. Bob, as we like to know him, on stats for the first time this year. And while I mentioned that, listening back in Louisiana, one of our regular stat men throughout the year, Drew Porsche. Drew Porsche has been battling cancer this year. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Drew and his family. I know he's not only great at what he does, but a great person, and we're certainly pulling for you, Drew, to get well and get back here in the booth soon. On second down and long. That's going to be a dangerous throw and almost picked off. That was Kamari Lassiter, a freshman defensive back out of Savannah.
Yeah, Caden Jordan does a nice job of knocking that ball down. Does a really nice job of getting up there, getting that hand in there. Lassiter saw that pick get taken away from him.
Now another third and long for Charleston Southern. 6.5 minutes to go. You have to start wondering if this might be the final drive of the game for the Buccaneers. Georgia rushes 4. A little toss underneath. That's going to be well shy of the first down. Now 4th and long. You've got nothing to lose. I imagine they'll go for it here.
It was nice talking to them this week, just understanding what they were trying to do as a program, what they wanted, where they wanted to go, and they knew the challenge they had. And they knew who they were facing.
No question.
But I think the biggest thing is Autry Denson has his program where he wants it, and he's starting to recruit, get some guys that can play, and I think they're in a good spot.
Autry looks like you could give him the ball 20 times right now and he'd do some damage. So here's Ross Malmgren, again the backup quarterback, on 4th and 14. Malmgren fires incomplete, and that's going to go against Georgia. Pass interference, and that'll be on the freshman Lavassier Carroll.
Your quarterback has to put it where it gives a receiver a chance to make an attempt on the pass, and that, yeah, you can't. If you don't turn that head,
Pass interference.
call
On
that
the
every
defense,
time.
number 12, 15-yard penalty. First down.
Just the second penalty today on Georgia.
Here's the other thing they talked a lot about, not beating themselves. And, you know, Kirby mentioned being now in the head coaching seat, really now having some assistants that he can rely on from a, you know, defensive standpoint. He said, I spend more time, and as a defensive coach, you know he's going to slant that way. But he said, I spend so much more time checking in on guys mentally, just seeing where they are. And I think that's the one thing he said, as a young coach, I didn't do as much.
Right.
That was, you know, it was good insight, because I always want to know from a coaching staff, what have you changed since you've taken the
Absolutely. You know, that's so true. There's two things I love about Kirby. One is, like a lot of coaches should do, admit you're learning on the fly.
Yeah.
You might think you have it figured out. First time head coach at this level, long-time assistant under Nick Saban, a great guy to learn from. The other thing is, he'll come right out and tell you, coaching is great, but the players are the reason why Georgia has been so dominant. And his recruiting, I mean, they don't take a night off in recruiting. 365 days out of the year.
Did you hear what he said after that? He said, I check on him mentally, and then I got to go take care of some recruiting.
Yeah, that's it.
He almost said it like simultaneously, but it's right. You have to be on. You have to recruit. You have to coach. He and Dan Lanning. I mean, just talking to these guys, it gets you geeked up, because you know what goes into game prep and getting ready to play. And even though they're up 56-7, look at them still over there. Just 11th play of the drive, longest drive for Charleston Southern today. And they're saying, look, we want our defense to hold this, basically a defensive shutout, even though we gave up points today.
See if they can stiffen up here on 3rd and 8. Run to the far side. It'll be 4th and manageable for Charleston Southern.
And it's funny, when you're around coaches, they know they're calculating everything. And that's the one thing for these players that are out there now. They're going to say, okay, if you give it up, then coach is going to be on us about this. And on the other side, Autry Denson is saying, hey, look, this is we want to come out here and play as best we can. This is our last game. Let's get in here and score.
11th play of the drive, by far the longest for the Buccaneers. 4th down and 4. With time, deflected right into the stomach of one of the Georgia defensive linemen. That is Ingram Dawkins, a freshman out of Gaffney, South Carolina. The Georgia defense holds. The Bulldogs still lead it 56-7. Plenty to dance and celebrate about if you're part of Dog Nation. Georgia about to go to 11-0 on the season, up 56-7. Don't forget, later on today on the SEC Network, it's Florida, Mizzou, and Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, the Rebels, and their home finale. Of course, they've got the Egg Bowl coming up. That'll be a great game this year against Mississippi State. Mike Leach, Lane Kiffin.
Won't be a lot of trash talking between us.
No, never. Never. Will Rogers going up
Matt Corral
against Matt Corral. And I mean, those two programs had really been kind of scuffling for a while. And it's amazing you make those two hires and how quickly the outlook of football in Starkville and Oxford has changed.
I think it just shows you when you have good coaches, right? We can talk about great players. You have to have that. But you've got to have coaches that understand. And Lane Kiffin, I don't think he always gets enough credit for how good of an offensive play caller. And now I'm starting to see that he's a really good head coach. Some of the things he's been able to do.
Well, much like you were talking about Kirby, I think Lane has matured quite a bit. I think he learned a lot from his days at Southern Cal, from Tennessee. FAU is kind of a good, if you will, image rehab. And now Lane Kiffin is, I mean, he's on fire. His play calling is strong. He's got excitement back in Ole Miss football.
Well, look at this, too. Look at his trajectory versus what's happening with his buddy Sark. Steve Sarkisian struggling in Texas. And growing up in Texas, you know how tough it is to be a head coach or a player or a quarterback at the University of Texas. So Lane has done a really nice job, like you said, reclamation of what he's been able to do with his career. Now, some people are going to love him. A lot of people may hate him, but I think he's always been one of those guys that can make your offense great right away.
If nothing else, he's entertaining. You
Yeah,
know, when we lost like the Steve Spurriers of the world, we lost a little personality.
Oh. I used to love calling games when Spurrier was there. And Spurrier would dig on you, too.
Oh,
you know, if you said something on a game, his memory, and I've talked to his players about that. Hey, Charlie, okay, I remember that.
No doubt.
He would get you, and talking season with his best time.
We'll be talking for another minute and 50 seconds. Georgia up big. This is the envy of any coach or fan base for multiple reasons. You're 11-0, but look at these scores. Outside of the Clemson game, every game has been a 3-score or more victory for Georgia this year. I mean, they've sweat a little bit. And Tennessee gave a good body blow in the first round, and then Georgia just turned it on. But I mean, for the most part, since that Clemson game, Charles, they really haven't even been challenged.
No, they haven't, and I think that's what you look at this schedule and you start saying, okay, at some point they were going to get it. And Tennessee made you think it early, but other than that, they have just really been able to kind of dominate every game. Haven't had, and looking at the stats, the one that I kind of put together was maybe, 16 or 17 attempts at the most for Stetson Bennett on average for the whole season.
Yeah.
That's because they played ahead so much. So it's going to be interesting to see if they have to play from behind consistently or late, how this is going to, but they're committed to run, and their defense is so strong. It's just been a formula for them.
You know, earlier I mentioned that Texas A&M upset of Alabama earlier this year. Of course, that's Jimbo Fisher coaching the Aggies. That's the first time one of Nick's former assistants picked up a win against the professor, if you will. Kirby Smart is trying to join that select group, and they have come so close. Some painful defeats in some big games.
Georgia fans at home right now just like wanting to go through the TV when you say that, but that's so true. You got to do it on the field. You got to take care of it, and if you're going to do it, you're set up now this year better than ever.
Well, and this is definitely the year where Georgia fans are saying, why not us?
Yep. Uga's even saying
Uga's like, 2021 title. I'm with you. I'll see you.
Uga's got a great life, man.
Yeah,
it's great to be a Bulldog, ain't it? He's got a little AC back there.
I'll bet you the only dog in America that gets treated better is our own Tiffany Blackman's dog, Roman, who she'll be spending some quality time with this weekend.
Oh.
I'm about to see my Boston Terrier, Baxter. Been a while. I've been on the road for a few days, Charles. I gotta.
The tail is gonna be wagging. We lost ours. Nala is gone, but she's not forgotten. So I know exactly what that's like.
You know what that's like. Hey, Georgia knows what this is like. Another lopsided victory, 56-7, the final score. The first 11-0 start since 1982. Kirby Smart, Autry Denson will shake hands at midfield, and Tiffany will try to hook up with Kirby Smart in mere moments. But this is a Georgia team that continues to keep its foot on the gas. Got to play a ton of backups here today. We'll probably face a greater challenge next week against Georgia Tech, and then it's on to Atlanta for a likely matchup with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Charles, how about some thoughts while we round up Kirby?
Yeah, no greater respect than how you play hard and how you play fast. And these guys do this week in and week out. You can see why they're set up for success with Kirby Smart.
Tiffany.
Coach Smart, congratulations. Most of your guys didn't get a senior day last year. To come out here and post this kind of victory, just how special is this group?
It's great. Our fans honored our seniors the right way. Those guys have been tremendous for our program. Can't thank them enough.
You guys opened this game up pretty quickly. What makes you most proud of the way your guys continue to conduct business?
Well, I'm proud of the way they practice during the week. You know, this is just the reward everybody else sees, but these guys work really hard during the week.
Thanks so much, Coach. Enjoy it.
Kirby Smart, his Dogs roll up nearly 500 yards of offense, surrender just 127 to Charleston Southern. The Bulldogs are 11-0, getting ready to take on Georgia Tech next week. That'll do it for us. For Charles Arbuckle and our entire SEC Network crew, this is Mike Morgan from Sanford Stadium saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.